Welcome to Poland and specifically Pogon. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the second part of it because I'm definitely going to get that wrong, and I probably got the first bit wrong as well. We are going to be doing a 10-season Youth Academy Challenge. And what is a Youth Academy Challenge, you might ask? Well, there are some rules. Rule number 1 is I can only sign players up to the age of 21, but I probably shouldn't be signing players. Because rule number 2 is we are going to be predominantly focusing on using players that have come through our youth academy. In particularly, Season 1, we're technically not going to force play any of them because we haven't had any intakes yet. But from Season 2 all the way through to Season 5, we'll be playing 2 youth players in Season 2, 3 youth players in Season 3, 4 in Season 4, and 5 in Season 5, and then 5 going forward into 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. When I said we can only buy players up to the age of 21, there is an exception to the rule, and that is goalkeepers. I'm allowed to buy goalkeepers of any age, partially because getting goalkeepers through your youth academy is somewhat challenging, and our goalkeeper right now is getting on a bit. In fact, he's not even ours, he's on loan. In addition to those rules, what I'm going to be trying to do is improve the club as a whole. So that includes trying to make our stadium better, trying to do our training facilities, youth facilities, junior coaching, and youth recruitment every single season. During the summer, I will be basically requesting this from the board to see if they will actually do it. One thing we definitely do need to do is buy the stadium, because currently we don't actually own it, and it's costing us over £100,000 a year, which isn't a huge amount of money, but it would be nice to own the thing. So that is what we're going to be trying to do in our Youth Academy Challenge with Pogon. We are obviously in the top division, the Ekstraklasa, I think is what it might be called, in Poland. We do have a chance, if we win the league, which I don't think is going to happen for a couple of seasons, of getting into the Champions League qualifying rounds, but I don't think we're going to do that just yet. Season preview-wise right now, bear in mind we've literally not clicked continue at all, is we're expected to finish 4th place, which I would probably take that. We are also going to be playing my favourite formation from Football Manager 24 and from GYR, which is the 4-2-3-1 Black Panther formation. So 4 defenders, 2 defence midfielders, 3 attacking midfielders, and 1 striker. We do need to make sure that we are, hopefully, I say we need to make sure we have no control over this, but we are getting players through our youth system that fit this formation. If we get in a left midfielder, doesn't help us. If we get in 4 strikers, doesn't help us because we only play 1 striker. Before we jump forward though in this video, I'm going to have a quick look at the squad, and it's very, very small. We have, if we sort by ability, we've got some very good players, but some of them are getting on. Kamil Grosicki, one of the main ones, formerly of West Brom and Hull, and a whole bunch of teams all around Europe. He is 35. He's been here for a few years. I might need to get rid of him. We are obviously going to be trying to use youth players throughout this entire series, but right now we don't have the players to do so. However, if we take a look at our B team, I say B team, our second team, we do have a whole bunch of players here, and I'm going to go through in between this bit of the video and the next bit and try and work out who we want to play, because I am going to force play 1 player, and I think they're going to be up to the age of 21, so we're going to have a look at these players to see who's any good. Obviously, being Season 1 as well, I did say we're going to do board requests for facilities and things like that. We're not going to bother this year because we've literally just joined the club, and I don't think they're going to say anything. We've got £37,000 to spend and about £3,000 a week wage budget. I don't think there's going to be a lot of transfer business taking place. On the 3rd of September, we have gone through the initial part of the season. The transfer window has closed, and we have sold Kamil Grosicki. He has gone to Red Bull Salzburg, or RB Salzburg, for £23,500. I was not planning on playing him at all because he's too old, and he was on a high salary, so getting rid of him is actually probably a good bit of business. Some other business as well, we've got rid of some players who I didn't think were going to ever make the mark, Mateusz Bak being one of them, and Boris Freilich being another one. And joining the club, it's nobody. It's literally the same goalkeeper that we had before. I didn't technically do this, he was already at the club. We have loaned out a few players as well, mainly to try and get some first team experience. We have also kicked off the season, and we have locked in actually 2 players into our starting 11. On the left-hand side, we have 21-year-old Polish winger. Most of these players, in fact, I'm pretty sure all of these players are going to be Polish. Marcel Wedrykowski might be his name, probably pronounced completely wrong, but there we are. I'm an English person trying to pronounce Polish names. It is definitely going to go wrong. He is going to be locked in that attack midfield role on the left-hand side. He's already started the season okay with 5 assists and 2 goals. I say okay, that's very good. 5 assists and 7 stars is actually very good, isn't it? But he's also not the only player that we are locking in. We have locked in a 16-year-old. And that is Adrian Presbrek, might be his name. He is 16 years of age. He's naturally on the left-hand side, but we know we've locked in the other guys, so he's going to be retrained to play on that right-hand side, which he is kind of capable of doing. He's played 5 matches so far, 2 off the bench. He's okay. He's obviously clearly not good enough right now, but this is part of the challenge of a youth academy save, is playing players who you know aren't good enough, but they will get good over time because basically they're getting a lot of first-team football. And when it comes to the competitions, we're in 3 of them this season. In fact, we're now down to just 2 because we've been knocked out of the Europa Conference League. We're in the Polish FA Cup, along with our second team, which I find a bit weird, but also kind of interesting. We're not in it yet. We come in the second round. I think this is the first round, so technically we could play ourselves in the second round. Maybe, I'm not sure of the rules on that. In the league, however, we are currently top, 6 wins out of 7, 1 defeat. Who did we lose against? It is Radomiak, who are down in 6th place at the moment, so it's a very good start to the season. Outside of the youth players, we've got 2 players that I want to highlight because I think they're going to be very important for us for the first few seasons, if I'm perfectly honest. We have Armenian attacking midfielder Vahan Bishachayan, could be his name. He used to play in Lithuania, apparently. He's actually very good. For a 24-year-old, he's actually very, very good. He's been here for a season or 2 already, cost just under £775,000, so just under £1 million. That's not Lithuania, that's Slovakia. I saw the green and yellow and assumed it was Lithuania. Yeah, so he's had a strange career already. He's gone to Slovakia, he's now moved over to Poland. He's actually quite good. I think he's going to be useful. He's already scored 8 goals in 9 starts this season. And the other player who I think is going to be very, very good for us is Luka Zahovic, a player who I had on one of the older football managers, maybe FM20, might even been before that when I was managing Maribor. He's good. The Slovenian striker, he's an international forward as well. Never scored apparently for the international side, but I think he's going to be very good for us. He scored 8 goals in 9 starts in all competitions and a couple of assists as well. The only concern I have about Zahovic, and in fact the Armenian guy as well, notice I didn't try and say his name again, I feel like we're going to get some youth players that are going to usurp these straight out of the starting 11 within the first couple of seasons. So Zahovic, I'm hoping, can kind of stay around. The Armenian guy might need to get repurposed to play on the wing. Bear in mind, Season 2, we're only locking in 2 players. So we should still be fine with Zahovic and the Armenian attacker midfielder. We do also have this guy, Linus Valkvist, who's formerly of Norrköping and a bit of Dynamo Dresden by the looks of it. He's good. He's a very good player. I think we need to try and keep him in the squad for as long as possible, and in my recent experience in Football Manager, getting fullbacks through youth intakes is difficult, so Alkvist might still be here come Season 10. So with the window closed, checking the season preview, we're expected to still finish in 4th place. I don't think it's changed too much. I'm okay with that. Right now, I'm not expecting to be winning the league, so 4th place, I'll take it. Getting into Europe again, we need to really try and get into an actual European competition, which would be very good. We are now going to jump forward to the 1st of April. That's right, we're going to skip over January because I'm not going to do any transfer business. We do need to keep aware, though, that some people might have minimum fee releases. Some people might be on the development list, which means they might go out on loan in January. But right now, we are not going to be in control of it. So we're going to jump forward to the 1st of April, where we'll get our first youth intake, and we'll take a look at some of the players who we hopefully will be seeing for the next 10 years. Well, already, it's a very good bit of reading, isn't it? It's an excellent intake. I don't understand why this doesn't fit on the screen, but anyway, it's an excellent intake. Is this considered a golden generation? I'm not quite sure, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 players who I am earmarking as going to be hopefully useful players for us either this season, next season, or in the future. So the player who I have the least hope in, I guess, is Karol Wisniewski, might be his name, 16 years of age, defensive midfielder. I think one of the reasons why I quite like him is he is a defensive midfielder, and they don't come through too often. I think of the 4, he's probably the worst one, but he's still not bad. Next up, we have Grzegorz Baniak, who is at 16 years of age. Obviously, they're going to be 15 or 16, most of these players anyway. You might get a 17-year-old, apparently. But he is a wing-back, which is a problem because we don't play wing-backs. He needs to be retrained as a left-back. He's not very good at the moment, but I think he's going to be very good. When you look at his mental numbers, some of them aren't amazing, but the determination is very useful. He's got aggression of 15, which I think is quite good. Is that good for a left-back? I'm not sure. Teamwork of 14 as well. Also very, very good. Technical crossing and dribbling, 8s and 9s does not look amazing, but bump them up by 2 or 3 points, and all of a sudden you're in the 11s and 12s. They're suddenly starting to look quite good. So I've got high hopes for Baniak. I've also got high hopes for Krzysztof Mucha, who is a 16-year-old attacking midfielder and left winger. And this is my worry. This was my worry. I was expecting to get in some wingers and attacking midfielders and strikers, and I feel like Mucha might need to be replacing the Armenian attacking midfielder. He also has 5-star potential, 1-star current ability, which obviously let's not read too much into that. He's got lots of 6s up to 14s from his technical abilities. Mentally, he's still pretty good. Lots of 6s, 7s, 8s in there. And physically, it's kind of what lets him down, but still, we've got lots of 8s, 9s, and 10s, so that's also still pretty good. I like Krzysztof Mucha. But by far the best player to come through is Piotr Goralski. I think that's what we're going to call him. A central midfielder at just 15 years of age. He could get into our first team. Now, the question is, where do we play him? Because we don't play central midfielders, we play attacking midfielders, and we play defensive midfielders. And I'm thinking we might need to lean towards the attacking midfield role, which means Goralski might be the one to kick out the Armenian from his starting role, which is kind of annoying because he's good. Although, when you compare the attributes, yes, he is obviously better, but he's also 9 years older. 8 on average to 10 on average. 10 to 11. So mentally, they're actually quite similar. Physically, obviously, he's going to be better, but again, he is 9 years older. Goralski might actually be a sensible replacement for Vahan. Obviously, that's not our entire youth intake. We do have some other players down here, but I'm not saying these aren't going to be any good, but I don't think these are going to be the ones that we're going to be focusing on. You will have noticed, by the way, I have put a little star at the start of any player who I think is going to be good. So it's normally the elite and top talents will have it, but occasionally one of the good talents might get a star next to their name as well. Before we jump to the very end of the season, which actually is only in about a month and a half's time, we are currently top of the Ekstraklasa, and we look like we're in a very good position to actually win the league. We are a total of 8 points clear of second place Rakow and third place Legia. We are in the Polish FA Cup semi-final as well against Lech. Legia are playing Stal Stawala, who are in the second division, which I think is the third tier. So that's quite impressive they've managed to get that far. We could win the double. I wasn't expecting to win anything in Season 1, but we could actually win the double. Let's jump forward to the end of the season and see if we actually have. Yes, we've won the double. Only by 6 points in the end, so either we dropped a lot of points towards the end of the season or Rakow picked up quite a lot of points, but we've also won the Polish FA Cup. So does this mean we are in the Champions League? I mean, we're in the qualifying rounds, aren't we? So we're in the second qualifying round. The Champions Path second qualifying round. This confuses me because I always get it confused. But anyway, we're in kind of maybe sort of the Champions League. We've got the second place top goal scorer in Luka Zahovic. That's very good. 26 in all competitions, 21 in the league. Average ratings as well. Vahan is there. 15 goals in the league, 17 in all competitions, 12 assists in all competitions as well. He's had a very good year. Maybe, with our intake that have come in, maybe we retrain Vahan to possibly play on the right, and then it gives us the opportunity to play Goralowski in the middle. So even though we didn't technically have to lock anyone in for Season 1, we did actually lock in 2 players. We've got Marcel, who played on the right-hand side, 34 league appearances, scoring 10 goals and 15 assists in all competitions, 14 assists with an XA of just under 9.5. That's a very good turnaround. He's done well. And on the left-hand side, we have Pryzborek, which I'm still not convinced is his name, at now 17 years of age. Born on New Year's Day, apparently, in 2007. He has got 10 goals in all competitions, 5 assists as well. He's getting better. I don't think he's kind of going to be sticking around. Next season, in Season 2, we will be making sure that we play at least 1 or 2, of those players who have stars next to their name. So we have to do some thinking about who exactly we want to put in. We did manage to get 5 players who scored double figures in all competitions. In fact, in just the league, I believe. We've got Ulvestad is technically the third top scorer. The other 2 were the 2 wingers we've just had a look at. So Ulvestad playing in a defensive midfield role, getting 13 goals in the league is madness. Vahan, we've obviously seen he's got 17 goals and 12 assists in all competitions from that attacking midfield role. And obviously Luka Zahovic being our top goal scorer with 26 goals in all competitions and just the 3 assists. If we have a quick look, we've got to scroll over there to find the average rating. So the best player is Vahan. Then we've got Kutris, who I believe was our left back, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's done very well with 16 assists. He's very good. I don't think we're keeping hold of him for too long. We've got Gamboa as well, who played in that defensive midfield role. He's also very good. We've got some weird players. And by weird, I mean strange nationalities that I would not necessarily expect, like a Greek left-back and a Portuguese central midfielder playing in Poland, but there we are. So with 2 trophies in the bag already in Season 1, Season 2, what's our objectives? Just do it again. We now just have to win the Polish Ekstraklasa 10 times in a row, win the Polish FA Cup, and maybe win something in Europe as well. Next season, we are obviously going to be trying to break in one of our 4 starred players. I'm thinking it might be Gorolowski and it might be Mucha. Those are the 2 that I'm kind of leaning towards. Although Baniak is now 1.5 star, maybe it's Baniak. We do need to retrain him as a left back. You're going to have to wait and see until Season 2, which will be the next episode, to see what 2 players we actually pick. Just the 4 competitions ready for us this season for our Youth Academy Challenge with Pogon over in Poland. And we are in the Champions League qualifying rounds. We're also in the Polish Super Cup, where we will be playing Legia. This is Season 2, which means this is the first season where we have to lock in players who have come through our youth intakes. And I've got 2 players in mind I think we might pick, but we're not going to find out exactly who they are until we get to September, because obviously we've got a bit of a transfer window first to go through. A transfer window that we have £7.6 million to spend. Our wage budget last year, by the way, was 70,000. We've gone up to 125,000. So there's been a massive surge of money. I'm going to assume prize money has probably played a huge part of this. So we've gone up to 12 million in the bank. At the start of the save, we had just under 2 million in the bank. So a massive, massive surge of money has come into the club. We are going to be asking the board as well in the next couple of months to try and improve all of our facilities. So youth facilities, youth recruitment, junior coaching budget and various things like that. As you can see, I've already tried the youth recruitment facilities and the recruitment, obviously, and they've been rejected, but we have increased our junior coaching budget at the moment. We are going to continue to ask the questions, because obviously if you don't ask, you don't get. So we're going to do that all throughout up until September, and then we'll leave it until next year. So hopefully we can get another one through the books and get a bit of improvement. What can we get? I'd love improved training facilities. Even though the transfer window is open, so far no business has taken place. We have brought in nobody. We have got rid of nobody. If we have a look at the release players, we have got a bunch of people there, but if I'm perfectly honest, I don't know who any of them are, so it's not the end of the world. We are going to have to do some business, though, because I don't think we have a goalkeeper anymore. Yeah, this guy's our number 1. He's very eccentric, and that's about it. Right, we're going to jump forward then to September. To the end of the transfer window, we're going to see what transfer business we have done. Remember, I can sign goalkeepers of any age, but I can't sign outfield players older than 21. So let's see what we've done. 1 player has joined the club, and that is all of the transfer business we have done. And that is Robert Ferrero, who has signed from Dam in Spain, a team that you really do need to check out. For some reason, in Season 1, they get a decent youth intake, and then no other seasons after that seem to get anything good, but Dam so far have had a good youth intake, but this is the only player that we picked up from them at the moment. He's cost just £7,000. I say at the moment because Jose Maria Salguero is also going to be joining, because he's a Filipino goalkeeper. I don't know if he's any good. He doesn't look terrible, does he? He is going to join on the 1st of February by the looks of it, 2025, so we're obviously not going to see that until when it kind of rolls around till April, I guess. But yeah, Salguero is also joining, and I'm keeping an eye on all of their other players, like Miguel Angel Tabella, who looks like a pretty decent central defender at just 15, Mark Idris, who is a 16-year-old central midfielder, and Ricard Mora, who's also a 16-year-old central midfielder. So I'm keeping an eye on these players because I feel like they're going to be good. I think that's literally their entire youth intake, and I might steal all of them. Yeah, they brought in 5 players, and I might take every single one of them. Before we talk about the actual players that we are locking in, remember, 2 players from our youth intake last season will be locked into the squad this season. We have already won a trophy this season, beating Legia 2-0 in the Super Cup. We did get knocked out of the Champions League against Ludogorets in a ridiculous battle, which ended up being 8-6 in favour of Ludogorets, which dropped us down into the Europa League. And little old Pogon there right at the bottom are in the Europa League for this season. So I'm hoping we can do well. I'm not expecting to win it, obviously, but if we can get out of the group stages, that will be a good start. In the Ekstraklasa, 7 games have been played, and we have lost just 1 of them. We've got a positive 17 goal difference, 18 points on the board, currently top of the table, just 2 points clear of second place Lech, 3 points clear of Rakow, and 4 points clear of Ruk and Slask. Almost certainly not how you pronounce their names. If we have a look at the season preview as well, we're still expected to finish down in 4th place, which, again, I feel like maybe last season was a bit of a fluke. If we can win the league again, we'd obviously be very good, but 4th place seems fine. I'm okay with being top 4. Getting into Europe is fine at the moment. So the players we are locking in for Season 2, obviously 2 of them have come through our youth intake, and we are picking Gorolowski and we're picking Baniak. First of all, let's take a look at Goralowski. Yes, he's more of a central midfielder, but we have been training him over the summer, and he's already played quite a few games. In fact, 14 matches in all competitions in the attacking midfield role, and at 15, he's worth 1.2 to 2.4 million pounds. Goralowski is basically going to be playing every single game for maybe the next 9 years. And I'm hoping the same thing can be said for Grzegorz Baniak, who is now 16. He has now been fully trained as a left back. His numbers are flying up. I'm not sure whether this is just me thinking they are because of the arrows, but I'm almost certain he's getting a lot better pretty quickly. So it is going to be Baniak and it is going to be Goralowski in the forced starting 11. But we do still have, if we have a look at our squad, we've got Wisniewski, might be his name. He's in the first team. So my assistant manager can decide to play him if he wants. And Christoph Mucha also is in the first team, and it was very close between Baniak and Mucha, who I was going to lock in, because Mucha, I think, if we can put him on that left-hand side, might be good. This is also very good, because if next season, or this season, we have a poor intake, we can just play Mucha, Baniak, and Goralowski, and we've got our 3 players locked in for Season 3. So I'm happy we've got 3 players who I think are good enough to play for us now. I do just need to point out my assistant manager is, it's Dennis Bergkamp. We did appoint him last summer. Completely forgot to mention it. So yeah, Bergkamp is our assistant manager. He's actually going to be taking control of most matches. Our head of youth development right now is Darius Adamczuk, who is a person I've heard of. He used to play for Wigan and Rangers and Dundee. That's probably why I've heard of him, because he's played in the UK. He is our head of youth development and director of football. So maybe over the course of this season, I might try and replace him with a dedicated head of youth development. But we will see how things go. The final thing to mention, we have actually managed to convince the board to improve the youth recruitment. So we've got the junior coaching budget up at the start of the season, and then literally a few days later, the youth recruitment was also improved. So we are making progress on our objectives to turn Pogon into one of the best teams in the world, technically, to be producing youth players. We are already at excellent youth recruitment, which is good. Everything else is good academy, good youth facilities, and good training facilities. We need to work on getting those up as well. We are now going to jump forward then to the 1st of April to the other side of our youth intake to see how well things have gone. If we can stay top of the table as well, that would be lovely. For the second straight year, we have had an excellent intake. We've got 4 players who are considered elite talents. 1 player who's a top talent who I've not marked with a star because I'm thinking 4 players is probably enough per youth intake. Let's take a look then. We've got Mateusz Wolski first up, 16 years of age, central defender. This is good. We've got a defender coming through. 6'1", left-footed. Could he be retrained to be a left-back? Maybe. I think arguably more of a centre-back with his 11 heading and his, 6 or 8 crossing, so maybe he's more of a central defender. But Wolski could be useful in a couple of years' time. Next up, we have Sebastian Wilk, our first striker to come through, 15 years of age already, with 14 finishing and 13 first touch. That's actually quite good. Problem is, we only play 1 striker, and I don't think he's necessarily good enough to play that role at the moment. Maybe in a couple of years' time, Season 4, Season 5, something like that, maybe Wilk could be getting in there. We've got another youngster on the right-hand side. It is Tomasz Kostrobala, who is 15 years of age. They're all, I don't know why I'm telling you their age. You can see he's 15. He's either 15 or 16. He doesn't look amazing. 1.5 star current ability. He's not particularly fast, but he does have lots of 7s and 8s in his attributes. 16 determination could be very good. 16 natural fitness as well is actually quite an important thing for a winger who's going to be doing lots of running. And finally, we have Marek Galansky, who is a right winger, maybe left, maybe attacker midfielder. He's very good physically. Lots of 7s, 8s and 9s, or 6, 7s, 8s and 9s in his technical. So he needs a lot of training to get those up to looking really good. But there's a lot of high-ish numbers there, bearing in mind he is 15. So of those players that have come through, highest hope, I'd say, is possibly Wilk and Kostrobala. I think Kostrobala. I don't know why. It's that determination that's kind of throwing me, but I'm going to go with Kostrobala. Might be the best player coming out of that youth intake. If we have a very quick look at the first team, we've got Baniak, who has played 39 times so far. Goralowski has got 15 goals in 40 appearances. When it comes to the competitions, we've dropped down to 2nd place in the Ekstraklasa. We are, 6 points behind Legia. Not ideal. We've been knocked out of the Champions League, which we know. Been knocked out of the Europa League in the league phase, which is, it's not ideal, that one. How bad were we? We did win twice. We beat Maribor and Shakhtar. We drew against Astana and lost against Rennes, Rangers, Rapid, Ferencvaros and Panathinaikos. So, I'm kind of okay with that. It's our first real season playing in Europe, so that's fine. We've also been knocked out of the Polish FA Cup, so we're not going to win that 10 times in a row. I do want to win the league now. I feel like we should be able to win the league. We've won it in Season 1, we should be able to win it in Season 2. And with that in mind, let's jump forward to find out whether we can win it in Season 2. No, we can't. We were not far away, just 3 points behind Legia, so we finished second place. It means we're in the Europa Conference League, I guess? Rakow in the Europa League? I don't understand why that's worked, but okay, fair enough. We finished second and are now in the third tier competition in Europe. If we finished on 77 last season, 80 points is the kind of the target then, I guess, to win the league. 77, not too far away. Taking a look at the two players that we've locked in. First of all, then, Grzegorz Baniak, 17 years of age now, turned 17 on the 22nd of February. He's getting pretty good. In fact, I think he's getting very good. He's now a fully complete natural left-back, which is what we want to see. Physically getting up there with some nice, decent numbers. 14s for acceleration, agility, balance, and stamina. Technically could do with a bit more work, but at 17 years of age, those are the ones that we can they can develop quite well over time, so I'm okay with that. Baniak has also got 13 assists in all competitions, 11 of them coming in the Ekstraklasa. And Goralski has had a ridiculously good year, and he's turning into a very good player. He's still only 16. He's going to turn 17 in December. So he's got a long, long way to go before he even turns 17 and can actually sign a proper contract. He's worth 2 million to 3.5 million. All of his numbers are flying up as well. Mentally, he looks very, very good. 18 goals in all competitions, 6 assists as well, 12 goals in the Ekstraklasa. I want to do the comparison. Can we do the comparison with, what's his name? It's Vahan, that's his name. They're similar. Arguably, it's a sensible decision to play Goralski now, right? Vahan is mildly better when it comes to physical. They're on par when it comes to mental. In fact, I'd argue Goralski's got some better mental numbers, because do we really care about bravery? For an attacking midfield, maybe you might care about that one, but do we really care too much about off the ball? It's only one anyway. It's fine. I'm happy that Goralski is turning into a better player. Technically, that's the word. It's definitely Goralski. It's not Goralski. What am I on about? It is Vahan, but Goralski he's better in certain places, isn't he? Technique, he's better. He's better in first touch. He's actually got a better free kick, which doesn't make too much difference. I'd say Vahan probably just edges it, but Goralski is not too far away, and he's only 16. The other two players as well who came through in the first intake have managed to get off the bench a couple of times. So Mucha played a total of 5 games, 4 of them off the bench, scoring a goal and getting an assist in the Polish FA Cup. Wisniewski as well has played 2 starts and 2 off the bench, also scoring a goal in the Polish FA Cup. He's a centre-back. Was he always a centre-back? I feel like has he been retrained to be a centre-back? Or am I just forgetting that he was a centre-back? Other players worth mentioning, we've got Kaluris, who was actually, I believe, out on loan maybe last season. He's come in, scored 10 goals in just 12 starts, which is very good to see. We have got Prosborik, might be his name. He was the guy we locked in Season 1. He's getting ridiculous. He's also got 11 goals, 7 assists. The other guy who we locked in Season 1 has managed to get 13 goals and 6 assists. We've got Vahan there, 15 and 10. And then we've got Goralski, second top goal scorer, and Lukasavic, number 1 goal scorer with 23 goals and 6 assists. Sorting by assists, we've got Kutris, who has done another very, very good season. I fear he's going to leave at some point, and it's not even going to be for a lot of money, but 10 assists is good for Kutris. Ulvestad has also done well. 8 goals, 10 assists. He's probably at the point where we need to sell him, because he's just about to turn 33. We can see Vahan is also there with his 10 assists. We've got Valkvist as a right back, picking up 10 assists and 4 goals as well. Benedikt Zek, I'm going to assume, picked up most of those assists, maybe playing as a right back? Where were you playing? You were playing as a right back and the centre back. Okay. I mean, Zek is 34. Why are you still at my club? Why did I not sell you? The final thing to look at then, star performers, Valkvist is our best player of the season. And then we've got João Gamboa playing in that defence midfield role, getting a 7.1 across all competitions. We've got Bartos, who is our number 1 goalkeeper. He's not our number 1 goalkeeper, is he? Who's our number 1? Stipika? Is that his name? I think he was out on loan last year, and he was in our second tier team. We've promoted him to the first tier team. He's let in 74. He's 34 years of age. We might need a new goalkeeper. And speaking of, Jose Maria Salguero, that's his name, the Filipino goalkeeper signed from Dam. He's played once off the bench and kept a clean sheet. That's going to do it then for Season 2. Season 3 will begin, and we must pick 3 players who have come through our youth intakes. And I think we've got probably 5 players that we could play. We are most likely, I'm not saying we're going to, but we're probably going to stick with Baniak and Goralski, so we need to pick one more player to go into our starting 11 for Season 3. Season 3 then of our Youth Academy Challenge with Pogon over in Poland begins today, and yes, we've technically taken a backward step when it comes to finishing in the league, because last season we only finished 2nd place. The season before we obviously won the league. We are still up the right end of the table, and that is always good. Because it is Season 3, we have to lock in 3 of our youth players, and that is 3 players that have come through our youth intakes, and luckily for us, we've had 2 very good intakes so far. Are we going to have a 3rd one today? You're going to have to stick around and find out. Because we finished only in 2nd place in the Ekstraklasa last season, we have not qualified for the Champions League, and because somebody else, I want to say Rook, qualified for the Europa League, we are in the Europa Conference League qualifying rounds. We're up against AEL of, I'm going to say Cyprus. It is Cyprus in the first round that we have to play. We've also got a friendly cup, apparently. That's not a thing that we care about. So it's only the Ekstraklasa, the Europa Conference League, and the Polish FA Cup that we're really interested in this season. I don't think we're going to do too well in Europe. I'd love to win the league and the FA Cup again. That'll be good. Because it is the 1st of July, the transfer window has opened. We've got rid of some players already. Benedikt Zech, a player who I mentioned last episode. Now at 34 years of age, he has moved on. He has signed for SCR Altash in his native Austria. In fact, he's gone back to Altash. We've also had this Iranian left and right back in our 2nd team for a couple of years. He signed for a team called Tractor. That's not a real team, surely. Tractor Sport Club. I've never heard of them. And young defender Dominic Gill has also left the club on a free transfer, staying in Poland this time around. He's only played 3 times for our first team, so we weren't going to miss him. Also, there's some players that have been released. I don't think any of them are of any real interest. Some of them have had a few games here or there, but for the most part, these were kind of under 21s, not under 21s, but 2nd team players who we never really saw. This guy scored a goal. No, he conceded a goal, didn't he? He's a goalkeeper. They don't score them often. Because we're not really buying anybody, we have got a huge amount of money to spend. £17.8 million. We've got £250,000 wage budget. We're only spending £70,000 a week. We've got a huge amount of funds to spend, but we are not going to do that this season. Maybe. We might bring somebody in, but I'm not quite sure yet. And before we jump forward to September, where the transfer window closes, we have had some conversations with the board already, and they have agreed to improve our youth recruitment on the 2nd of June. And then literally a couple of days ago in-game, they've also agreed to improve our training facilities and youth facilities. That's massive. That is absolutely massive. It's cost us about £2.5 million to spend as well, so it's not really a huge amount of money. So we are steadily making our club better when it comes to facilities. We do need to get the training facilities up. The youth facilities are good. We need to get those up, and the junior coaching needs to come up as well. We've got exceptional youth recruitment, which is great, but everything else is kind of average at the moment. Just to let you know as well, the youth facilities was something the board suggested we do. I didn't actually request this. I think I did the junior coaching budget, and they said no. But they went, hey, you can have the youth facilities, so sure, we're doing that instead. Right, let's jump forward then to the start of September, where the transfer window will have closed, and let's see what transfer business we've done. A quick glance at the finances will show that our transfer budget has increased by about £5 million, and we're actually now spending even less of our £250,000 a week wage budget. Some business has taken place. 4 players have left the club on permanent deals, and 2 of them have got M's. Millions of pounds have come our way. We've sold Kaluris. First of all, he has gone over to Gornik for £625,000. For £300,000, we've sold Parziak. He has gone over to Lek. For £1.9 million, we've sold Leonardo Kutris, who basically became our second choice left back because Baniak basically replaced him last season when he was locked in. He's moved over to Jagiellonia, might be their name, for £1.9 million. That is a big bit of money, but he's not our most expensive sale. That would be Adrian Prizborek. He has moved over to Inter Milan and has been loaned back for the rest of the season. He's gone for £2.5 million. It was good money for a player who we were playing. He did get a lot of games, 20 appearances, scoring 10 goals, but he's not technically come through our youth system. He's come from a different team, and it is this team here, so I feel like it's kind of cheating if we force play him any more than we have, so I'm okay with taking this money. We've also brought in 3 more players from Dam, and if you watched last season, you know exactly who we brought in. Ricard Mora is the first one. He's come in on a free transfer, because the moment he turned a certain age, I want to say 17, but I feel like it's not, they get released from the club. So Mora got released from Dam. We've picked him up on a free. He's a good player. Miguel Angel Tobela has also been picked up from Dam on a free transfer because at the end of his contract, he just left, and we managed to pick him up for free. And Mark Idris has also joined from Dam. We did have to pay for Idris for some reason. I don't know why we did, but we had to pay £7.75 thousand, which is absolute peanuts. All of these players are basically getting dropped straight into the second tier team, although Mora might be getting some first team football. Tabella, I don't know. I'm not convinced on Tabella at the moment. Mora's probably the best of those players. So we brought in £5 million. We spent £7.75 thousand. And what does that mean for our formation? So we do need to play 3 starred players, and this is what we are going to go for. In left back, we are sticking with Gregor's Baniak, who is wanted, and there was some interest. Piast wanted him on loan. That we had some bigger interest than Piast. I think Inter Milan and AC Milan actually wanted Baniak, which we managed to kind of fend those off for now. He is going to be our left back. We're going to stick with Goralski as the attacking midfielder. He's getting very, very good. Still only 16 as well. And then the new player joining the ranks for this season is Christoph Mucha, who is not a natural left winger at the moment, but will be within a few weeks' time, because basically he's going to play there every single game of the season until he gets injured. We do also have 5 other starred players in our first team, so our assistant manager, who is Dennis Bergkamp, by the way, can pick to play any of these players. Already you can see Sebastian Wilk, at 15 years of age, has come off the bench once and scored a goal in the league. We've also got Wolski, who has played a couple of games, started one, come off the bench once as well, probably in centre-back. We're also 7 games into the season, and we are currently sitting top of the Extraclasa, 16 points on the board, but Legia and Craiova also have 16 points as well. We, however, have a positive 15 goal difference. I don't know how we managed to win some games by ridiculous scorelines, but we've scored 7 goals in the space. 7 goals against Cracovia, 7-2 there, 7-3 against Slask. Then in the Europa Conference League, a 7-0 win as well. We score goals. We definitely score goals. Defensively, that might be part of our problem, but that's fine. We will hopefully be getting better players. Klakowski, he's not technically a youth player of ours, but he's scored 6 goals in 4 starts in the league. Why are you starting up front? Have we had an injury? Has Zahovic been injured? Because I imagine you should probably be our number 1 striker. Yeah, okay, you missed some games. That's fine. That makes a lot more sense. As well as the Extraclasa, obviously Europa Conference League, we have made it into the group stage. We are currently bottom because we haven't kicked a ball yet, and obviously we are in the Polish FA Cup. We enter in the second round, which is not right now. Pogon 2, though, will be playing a team called Polonia Sroda Wielkopolska. Might be their name. Not quite sure why I even tried to say it. Right, next up then, jumping forward to about the 1st of April, where we get our youth intake, and we'll take a look to see what players we have in our squad and who's come through our youth intake this year. So for a 3rd season in a row, we have another excellent intake of youth players. Now, I do need to explain this though. A 5-star or 4.5-star intake for a team like Pogon does not mean we've got a whole bunch of Leo Messis in our youth intake. What it means is we've got players who are good enough or better than our current squad. So if our current starting 11 has an ability of, say, 110 out of 200, some of these players might have 120 or above potential. That's kind of what we're looking at here, which is still pretty good. 4 players then I have earmarked for success, which might not succeed at all, but we've got Michael Saigan at 16 years of age, central defender. This one I'm the least convinced about, but he was in the top list of best players, so we've kind of flagged him, mainly because he's a centre-back. In central midfield, who's probably going to have to get retrained to be a defensive midfielder, is Lukas Zenko. He looks alright, doesn't he? He's got some decent-ish mental numbers. 18 aggression is, I guess, quite good. Teamwork of 16 is good. Work rate of 13 is good as well. Obviously, it's still very early days. Another striker joins the ranks in Marius Stepien, who's still only 15. He'll be 16 all the way in the late end of the year in November. 14 finishing looks quite promising. Physically looks actually quite good with his acceleration and pace of 15 and 14. I think Stepien could be quite a good player to have. But somebody who I think might be better is Jan Kmisik might be his name, not quite sure. We're going to call him Kmisik, sure. 14 finishing, once again, physically not as good, but much more well-rounded when it comes to his physical numbers. Everything apart from his strength between 11s and 13s. 6'4", he's a big lad as well. Well, mentally, got some good numbers there. 17 bravery is quite an interesting thing for a player who's 6'4". If we can get his heading up from 9 to something, he might be scoring a lot of headers. Now, just because I've only marked those 4 players as star players does not mean those are the only ones that I think are going to be any good. I just don't think I want to be playing any of the other players. For example, if we take a look at this guy here, he's okay, but do we need another left winger? Probably not. Is he going to be much better than what we currently have? Maybe, but he is a mercenary. I mean, maybe we put a star against this guy. I'm not going to do it, though. As we head towards the end of the season, we are going to take a look at everything that is going on as well, though. So we are top of the league by 14 points. I think we are effectively everything but champions. We've had a ridiculously good season by the looks of it. 14 points at the top of the table, positive 53 goal difference in 26 games. That is ridiculous. Europa Conference League, we did manage to get through the group stages, but eventually got knocked out by St. Gallen in the round of 16. So, where did we finish? We finished second. We won all 6 Europa Conference League games, beating Sheriff, Tavarna, Karabag, Dinamo, Lillestrøm and Celje. So lots of big scores as well. That is obviously very good to see. So we then moved in to play St. Gallen, where we lose 9-7. What is this? What is this nonsense? If we could defend, we'd be the best team in the world. And the Polish FA Cup, we are still in it, and we are up against a 3rd division side. A 3rd tier side in the FA Cup. How are they in that far? That's a 3rd tier side, right? I'm not making that up. Because we've got 2 divisions, right? If we go here, we've got the Polish 1st division and the Ekstraklasa. So that... How? And you're... Okay, you're a 2nd tier side. So in theory, it's going to be Lech versus Pogon in the final, because everyone else should have been knocked out by now. Anyway, we're now going to jump forward to the end of the season. I've just seen Goralski is our top goal scorer with 27 goals. We're going to see how well he has done come the end of the season as well. So let's jump forward to around June time, I think. So there is confirmation then. Runaway champions of Poland. 3 defeats in the entire season. 2 of them against Wisla Krakow as well, who finished in 10th. Okay, 5 draws, 26 wins, positive 63 goal difference with 113 goals scored. We scored 13 against Slask. That's ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous. Did we win the FA Cup? We did as well against the 2nd division side. We beat them 7-3 in the final. We love a high-scoring game, don't we? So much like Season 1, we have done the double, winning the Ekstraklasa and winning the FA Cup. We're going to go into the Champions League next season, which is good. Obviously, I don't believe our competition rating is high enough, so I feel like we still have to go through some qualifying rounds. But I'm hoping within the next couple of seasons, we can actually get into the Champions League properly. And I imagine get battered by most teams in the first couple of seasons, but eventually get good enough that we can kind of hold our own. So, the 3 players that we had locked in for the season. Baniak first up, they're now 18 years of age as a left-back, looking very, very good. 12 assists in the league, 16 in all competitions. Had a very good season. He is wanted by Juve, Porto and Rakow. One of those is not like the others. I feel like Baniak might be leaving in the summer, but because he's only 18 and he's not good enough to play for Juve or Porto, I imagine we'll probably get him back on loan for next season. On the left-hand side then, in his first season locked in, Christoph Mucha has done pretty good. 24 goals, 13 assists in all competitions, 14 goals coming in the Ekstraklasa as well. An average rating of a 7.12 in 48 games. I don't think he missed a single match. Nope, he definitely did, because Goralski played 52 games, scoring 31 with 25 assists from attacking midfield. That is my maths. That's 56 goal contributions in 52 games. That's ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous. He is wanted by Napoli. Is Goralski going to leave as well? Are we going to lose Baniak and Goralski in the summer? I will say this now. If we lose any starred players but we loan them back, they count because they are from our youth intake. Obviously, if we loan one back for a season and then they go, it means we would have to replace them the following season. But if Goralski goes, what's an acceptable amount of money for Goralski? I'm thinking like 8-9 million with a hefty sell-on, but I can't imagine Napoli are going to want to do that. Other than Mucha and Goralski, Zahovic has scored a bucket load of goals, 26 of them in fact, and getting 9 assists. I think he missed a fair amount of football as well. And Vahan playing, I don't even know where, maybe on the right wing. Vahan might have been playing on the right wing, getting 28 goals and 11 assists. Can we see where he was playing? Yes, he was. Played on the right wing predominantly, did play as an attacking midfielder occasionally when called on, but for the most part, he was pushed out on the right-hand side and still played very well. We've also got 3 other players who have broken double figures as well for goals. Klakowski is one of them with 13. Ulvestad also getting 13 goals. I feel like he's a centre-back, right? They've been playing in defensive midfield. And Prisburek also breaking double figures with 12 goals and 11 assists. And speaking of assists, 2 more players to mention other than some of the ones we've already spoke about. Leo Borges, who would have been a left-back? Surely you wouldn't have been a left-back. He's done very well for playing as a centre-back and getting, 2 goals he scored there, for us, fair enough. For getting the amount of assists that he did, which is 10 assists, playing predominantly as a centre-back, that's pretty good. And another centre-back, although I feel like he was probably playing as a right-back, is Linus Valkvist, 24 assists. That's a lot of assists. He's wanted by lots of teams in Saudi Arabia. Was he playing as a right-back? Yes, he was. Okay, that makes a lot more sense, because arguably, probably more of a centre-back, but there we are. I've sorted this now by average rating for the season. So number 1 player is actually Linus Valkvist, Gorowski in 2nd, Vahans are 3rd, Prisburek in 4th, Zahovic in 5th, Lonsar in 6th. He's pretty good. He just kind of does his job. He's a very good player for us. Same with Gamboa. Gamboa is a very good player. I don't think we see him too often, but he's useful. He's very useful for us. So actually, of the players locked in, Mucha and Baniak are down the list, but 7.12 and 7.10 is still very, very good. So I'm kind of okay with that. This does worry me. I feel like we're losing Baniak and Gorowski in the summer. We're going to have to wait and see. If we are developing a pattern with our Pogon saves, Season 4 is going to end like Season 2, which was a 2nd place. We won the league in Season 1, 2nd in Season 2. We won the league again in Season 3. Season 4, I'd love to win it for a 3rd time, but I feel like it's probably not going to happen. And that's just based on patterns, which I'm fully aware is a stupid thing to base things on. But anyway, we're here for Season 4 of our Youth Academy Challenge, and because it is Season 4, it means we are locking in 4 starred players who have come through our youth intakes in the previous 3 seasons. The transfer window has opened in Season 4, but as of yet, we have not done any business, but we did actually do some business in, I'm going to say, February last season, and I just didn't tell you about it. In the January transfer window, we picked up a Malawian international with 11 caps to his name, and that is Mike Zonda. He was signed from Bullets FC. He cost £1.6 thousand, which is absolute peanuts, isn't it? I found him by going to the Malawi national side. He was the only one in there, so I went, let's have a look, he's quite good, we brought him in. So yeah, Mike Zonda, he's now a Pogon player. I'm not sure whether he's going to play a huge amount. He did play 3 times last season, in fact, and a few times for the B team or the 2nd team. Mike Zonda's in. 4 players have also left the club on free transfers after their contract expired, and I don't think any of them are really much use. I mean, he's not bad, is he? He's actually played a lot of football for us. Some of the other players, not so much. So for Fornalik, didn't play a huge amount of time. This guy played lots for the under-21s or whatever they are, and same with this guy here. So yeah, a few more players have been released on free transfers. We do have a massive £23 million to spend, and I think we might need to buy ourselves a goalkeeper. Because our number 1 goalkeeper for the past few seasons is now 35 years of age and is leaving the club to sign for Rijeka. Which means we're either playing this man, who I don't think is very good. He's already played 14 first-team appearances, and I don't think he's good enough to play them. Or the Spanish and Filipino goalkeeper from Dam, Salguero, who also I don't think is good enough. So we might need to bring in our goalkeeper. And I said at the start of this save that we are allowed to buy players over 21 if they are goalkeepers. That is the only position. So we might be going a little bit older than 21 for this. I'm not thinking massively old, maybe up to sort of 28, not buying a 35-year-old. So, from a competitions perspective, obviously, because we won the Extraclasse, we are in the Champions League. We do have to go through a couple of qualifying rounds to get there, but that should be easy enough. We are in the Polish FA Cup, and we're in the Polish Super Cup against the team that we beat in the Polish FA Cup final, I believe. If I scroll down, yeah, we beat them 7-3. So I imagine we should be able to beat these guys. I did just see that they did get promoted to the Extraclasse, so fair enough. Right, let's jump forward then to the start of September. The transfer window will close. Some business will definitely be taking place because, like I said, we need a new goalkeeper. So let's see what we've done. We've brought in £8 million into the club through selling players, which is not good, by the way. And we've spent about £200,000 on a new goalkeeper. So Stipika has left. He has gone to Rijeka, as we know. Shrominski has also left. He's gone to another team in Pogon by the looks of it. Holwinski has signed for Piast and been dropped down to their 2nd team. And Kasper Golbuski, might be his name, probably not, has signed for Craiova. All of those 4 players, by the way, have gone on free transfers. We've also got 3 players leaving on loan deals. We've got this young central midfielder, Robert Ferrerio, who should be playing first-team football for us, but basically isn't going to get there because of locking in players on the left wing. He's gone on loan to Radomiak. And Zablinski, might be his name, has gone on loan to the team that we played in the Polish Super Cup final. We have unfortunately sold Ricard Mora. He's gone to Atletico Madrid but has been loaned back for the season. He's gone for £3 million. I'm pretty sure there's a hefty sell on, maybe even 50% in this one. And Gregors Baniak has also left the club. He has gone over to Napoli for £5 million. Once again, there is a big sell on in there and we've loaned him back. And our new number one goalkeeper is Cesare Mista, might be his name. He is signed from Legia, formerly actually of Rio Ave in Portugal. I assume that's a loan deal. Yeah, it was a loan deal. So we brought in ourselves a young Polish goalkeeper. He's cost just under £200,000. Still 24. I think this is a sensible bit of business. We've got, 7 seasons left to play. He might be our number one goalkeeper until the end of this simulation. 10 seasons, remember, is what we're going to do, unless we get somebody in who's really, really good from our youth intakes, which I don't think we're going to do because goalkeepers are quite hard to get. Other things that are worth mentioning. So, first of all, we have spoke to the board and they are buying the stadium. And they are planning to expand the stadium as well. So that is two very good bits of news. They have also agreed to improve our training facilities. So once again, also very, very useful. And our junior coaching budget has also been increased, which I believe now might be max or very close to being the maximum amount. So if we go facilities, we've got exceptional youth recruitment, excellent academy coaching. So this is obviously very, very good. We've got training facilities, that's an easy word to say, and great youth facilities. So those are getting up there as well. And like I said, we are buying the stadium and then hopefully expanding it as well. So because it is season 4, we have to lock in 4 players. And I've said to myself, which I don't know whether I'm going to stick to this rule, by the way, because we've loaned Baniak back in, he doesn't count because he's not our player anymore. So we're kind of, yes, he's still technically come through our youth system, but we've sold him. He's gone out and come back on loan. He's not really ours anymore. So we are locking in 4 players. And you can see we've still got Goralski still at the club. He will be playing in that attacking midfield role. Very, very good footballer, if you ask me. Christoph Mucha will be playing on that left-hand side, which is the reason why we loaned out Ferrero. I think that's his name, because basically Mucha was just going to play there every game, and the Spanish guy was going to get annoyed. Up front, being locked into the squad for his first season is Sebastian Wilk. He has played a few games previously, I think 3 matches, maybe even 2 matches in last season. He is going to be our number 1 striker. This is a big risk because if we don't score goals, we don't win games, and if we don't win games, we don't win the league. We've obviously had Luka Zahovic has been our number 1 striker for a few seasons. He's been very good, but we're going to take a risk and go for Sebastian Wilk. And the other risk that we're going to go for is Mateusz Wolski, who is a 17-year-old now central defender. He's actually played a fair amount of times in the last couple of seasons. He's going to be locked in as our centre-back. He played 22 times last season, and most of them were off the bench, but he did start a few matches as well. So this one, I think, is a good idea. The problem is, we've got far too many players who are really good as attacking players. So we've got Kostrobala, who's a very good attacking player. We've got Golanski, who's a very good attacking player. When we look at our defenders, ones with stars on, we've got Wolski and Wisniewski. And yeah, that's it. And Wisniewski's not very good. Right backs, we've got Kostrobala. I don't think should be a right back. Yes, we've got Baniak as our left back, but he's not really our player anymore. Defence midfielders, we don't really have anyone here either. We've got Golowski and Wisniewski who can play in those roles, which again, they're not good enough to do it. Maybe, I mean, we're not going to do this, but maybe we can play Wisniewski in one of those positions, but he's not very good. So this is what we're locking in for the season, and I'm genuinely worried that we might finish outside maybe the top 6, which could be a problem, because if we get sacked, I don't think the board are going to be happy with us. I think we're going to finish 5th. That's my guess. My guess is 5th. I'm hoping we finish higher. Obviously, you can see we have started the season, and we're not doing amazingly well. We have lost twice. Who did we lose against? We have lost against Jagiellonia and Rakow. Jagiellonia are ahead of us. Rakow are just below us. Okay. But we have also won 5 matches, beating Ruk Piast, Zaglebe, Brookbet, Tremelika. Why am I trying to say these names? And Radomiak as well. So we've beaten lots of teams down the wrong end of the table. 15 points on the board after 7 games. It's not awful. We do need to kind of try and keep up with the leaders. But I'm genuinely concerned that Wilk is not going to do the business. That's my big concern. Is Sebastian Wilk might be our downfall this season. And with that in mind, let's go on holiday then until the 1st of April when our youth intake has come through. We'll take a look to see who is the new players in the squad. And before we jump too much further, we have been knocked out of the Champions League. Unfortunately, we lose 8-5 on aggregate, a 6-3 defeat as well. What is going on? Some of our Champions League and European fixtures are just an absolute mess. It means we are in the Europa League, but we're actually not one of the lowest seeds anymore. It means we're going to play one of these teams down this end. So who are even MTA? They're from Israel, Maccabi Tel Aviv. Fair enough. I didn't even know. Why would they be short onto that? Anyway, so we've got some teams down here that I feel like we should be able to beat. And arguably some of the teams in the middle we should be able to beat. I've got high hopes for a half-decent Europa League run. Although we are playing World Cup front, who I don't think is going to score enough goals for us. Right, with that in mind, let's jump forward then to the 1st of April where we get our new youth intake. Are we going to have another excellent intake, or is this going to be the first time around where we don't have a very good one? So for Season 4, it is only a good youth intake, which still isn't particularly bad. 4-star intake. We've got 5 players that I have earmarked, and one of them is a goalkeeper. Everyone else is a winger or an attacking footballer, which is not good. We need defensive midfielders, we need centre-backs, we need full-backs. That's what we're missing. So let's take a look at the bottom then. Ernest Kolodziej might be his name. Is a 15-year-old currently, left winger. I think he looks quite good. I don't know why, he just does look quite good. Also, Kolodziej is a good name, right? In goal, we have Michal Rydzak, who doesn't look very good at the moment. He's 6'3" at 15 years of age. Obviously, plenty of time to develop. He might become our goalkeeper just because we have to play him in goal. I don't know. We'll see how things go. Moving into the elite talents, we have Michal Radziewicz, might be his name, who is 15, a right winger, attacking midfielder, maybe a striker as well if we need him to play there. He's alright. He just doesn't have, the mental numbers aren't there, are they? Low determination. 4 determination is not ideal. Team, a work rate of 5. I mean, this one, not convinced. He might have the potential, apparently according to my coaches, but I'm not convinced. Moving even further up the pitch to our striker, we have Jakub Ratowski, who I quite like him. Ratowski looks pretty good. He's got some very good mental numbers. Physically looks okay. Technically doesn't look too bad either with his 12 finishing, 11 dribbling. He is only 15 and he's got another, 8 months? 8 months before he actually turns 16. So he's got a long, long way to grow. I quite like Ratowski. If Wilk doesn't do much better this season, Ratowski might be our number 1 striker next year. And finally, we have Piotr Maslanka, who is a left winger. Well, he needs to be trained up to be a left winger, or maybe a left back. He's got 5 tackling. He's not a left back. I mean, he's all right. He's got decent physicals, mentally not amazing. His 4 determination is not great, but the work rate of 14 might help out. Technically, not awful. When it comes to being a winger, he's not awful. He's not very good at lots of other things like marking, heading, finishing. He needs a lot of work. So that is our intake for Season 4, and I'm not convinced it's very good. Looking at the results then, obviously we are quite a way through the season. In the Europa League, we've been knocked out in the playoff round after losing 10-6 against St. Gallen. I don't know what happens in Europe. We score lots and lots of goals, but also concede stupid amounts of goals as well. It does mean we got through the league phase. 4 wins with a 3-0 against Astana, 3-0 against Hajduk, 3-2 against Panathinaikos and a 3-0 against Molde. So when we won, we scored 3 goals. And then the defeats, we concede 3 goals. I mean, that would explain why our goal difference is 0, because we score lots, but we also concede lots, which we know anyway. In the Ekstraklasa, we are 5th. We are a long, long way behind Rakow, who are top of the table as well. We've only drawn once. We've lost 9, so that is, 5 more defeats? Not 5 more, 7 more defeats since the start of the season, which is quite a lot of defeats. All of them seem to be away, bar 2 of them. Rakow have done the double against us as well. When we win comfortably. An 8-1 win there against the team that would be in the Super Cup final. If we can finish in the top 5, at least we should get Europe. That needs to be our objective. I feel like the problem here might be Wilk. Yeah, I think it's Wilk. I'm sticking with it. This is my rule, that if we pick the team at the start of the season, we'll stick with it until the end of the season. But Sebastian Wilk has got 9 goals, 5 of them in 16 league appearances. He did get a fairly sizable injury, which might have helped us out, to be honest. When you think our top goal scorer has started 15 games, I'm assuming he's probably played the majority of the ones when we've had injuries. Oh, he plays on the right, doesn't he? Luka Zahovic has probably come in for Wilk for these ones and scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If Wilk's the problem, Wilk is definitely the problem, isn't he? But we're going to stick with it for now. We are going to jump forward then to the end of the season to see how well we've got on, and hopefully we can finish in the top 5. If we can basically get European football for next season, that's always an improvement, and that's always good to see. Somehow, we have turned things around and finished 2nd place and qualified for the Champions League. How have we done that? Also, how have we qualified for the Champions League? So 2 teams. Okay, we've gone up basically in the coefficients, which means 2 teams get in the Champions League. That's very, very good. What have we done? How have we turned this around? We've literally not lost a game since the 1st of April. We've drawn twice, and then obviously won everything else. So actually, it's not even the 1st of April. We haven't lost a league game since the 2nd or the 5th of February, sorry. So we've actually done ridiculously well. And Wilk has played well. He's still playing games, scoring some more goals. Not a lot, apparently. He's got 4 more goals since the last time we checked in, by the looks of it. Which is not a huge amount of goals, is it? But he's getting better. He's definitely getting better. Well, that is kind of confusing to me, but the fact that we finished second is very, very helpful because Champions League football helps us out from a financial perspective. A financial perspective, by the way, that means we have now brought our stadium. It is our own stadium now. We own it. We can do what we want to it. And what we are doing is we're expanding it by 5,290 seats, which is going to put us on to about 25,000 seats, which that's fine. That's a decent sized stadium. Well, let's take a look at the squad then. First of all, we'll take a look at the 4 players that we have locked in. Obviously, Sebastian Wilk has been the focus of my attention for most of this video. He's getting better as a footballer, but he's not really scoring the goals. An XG of 10, but scoring 13. When you think we were scoring maybe like 30 goals from one striker in the last few seasons, Wilk getting 13 is not enough. Basically, this might be his first and only season playing for us. Goralski next up. It looks like he's had a fairly bad injury, damaged knee cartilage, but he's obviously been playing in that attacking midfield role. 13 goals, 17 assists. He's literally just picked up. Okay, he's just missed the final 4 games of the season. That's not too bad then at all. Goralski is good, and I'm still not quite sure how we've still kept hold of him. He's got a 2-year contract. We might need to give him a new one sooner rather than later, because basically, if he gets into his final year, chances are somebody's just going to steal him from us. Christoph Mucha also playing, I think this is now 3rd season, potentially, maybe 2nd season, just locked in. We can actually have a look, can't we? Yeah, 2nd season locked in. Not as good as last year, but still managing to get 13 goals, 9 assists. Still pretty decent. He's wanted by Juve, Lech and FC Porto. Mucha might be off. That's not good. He's not even worth a lot, is he? He's not even worth a lot of money. I feel like if Mucha goes, we'll do the same thing that we did with Baniak and basically bring him back on loan for another season. Speaking of Baniak, I know he's technically not our player anymore. He's done all right. 7 assists, 2 goals from left back. It's not amazing, to be honest, but he's a very good footballer. The final player to take a look at then is Mateusz Wolski, who's now 18 years of age. He's played 29 league appearances, 45 in all competitions. He's done all right. He's turning into... Mentally, he's actually very good, I think. I think there's some good numbers and very good places. 15 leadership. We might have a future club captain on our hands there. Okay, I mean, I'm not sure why you'd do that, but we might end up doing that. Technically, 11, 11 and 13 for the key things for a no-nonsense centre-back. We actually play a ball player, which he's not awful at that either, with 11 first touch, 10 passing. So he's okay. I quite like Wolski. I don't know why. I don't think he's amazing, but there's something about Wolski that I'm enjoying. I did have some other starred players in the first team squad. Golansky is one of them. He actually started twice in the league, 16 times off the bench. We had nothing to do with this, so he would have come on a lot for Vahan, I assume. He's done all right. Considering we didn't lock him in, he's done all right. But the one who's played a lot of football is Kostrobala. And I don't know why. He started 16, 13 off the bench. What position have you been playing? Winger and right back. Okay, you've been playing all over the place. You got 3 assists in your last 2 games. I mean, technically, yes, you can play there, mate, but I feel like we shouldn't. Should we? 8 tackling's not bad. 8 tackling is certainly not bad. Do we retrain Kostrobala to be a right back? Actually, I feel like we shouldn't do it. 2 other players worth calling out from goals, that is, Luka Zahovic being the first one. 8 starts, 10 off the bench in the league, only 4 league goals, but 13 in all competitions. I feel like not playing Zahovic might have been our downfall for this season. But luckily for us, I think Vahan saved the day, playing as our right winger predominantly with 21 starts and 13 league goals. 20 goals in all competitions, 7 assists as well. Vahan is kind of one of those players that he's just really useful to have. Problem is, he's got a 2-year contract, and I don't think I want to extend it. Not because I don't think he's good enough, but I feel like we are going to replace him sooner rather than later. And rather than giving him a contract and him just trying to, basically not playing and getting annoyed, we might just get rid of him. Maybe we sell him. He's probably not worth enough money to sell. From an assist perspective, obviously, fullbacks seem to get a lot of assists. Leo Borges is one of them, getting 10 assists. I imagine you and Baniak, you played as a centre-back quite a lot of the time. When you played left-back is probably where you got your assists, yeah. So Borges and Baniak would have probably been rotating slightly. He's ridiculous, by the way. I just ignored the fact that Leo Borges is amazing. He's 4.5-star current ability. He's wanted by a couple of teams in Saudi Arabia. He's very good. He's probably leaving in the summer, isn't he? And the other player is going to be Valkvist, who's obviously going to be our right back predominantly, maybe a centre-back as well. Once again, another player who's actually really, really good. He's got 16 assists in all competitions, 3 goals as well. And the last thing to take a look at then, the highest average rating is Borges, who I can't remember what he got. I just saw it then. It was a 7.21. And then we've got Valkvist is our second best, and then Baniak in third place as well. João Gamboa just does the job, doesn't he? He's a really good player. Just does the job. Nothing special, nothing spectacular. Just does a really good bit of work for us. So that is it for Season 4. Season 5 will be the last time we have to lock in a specific number of players. As in, Season 5 is the most players we will be locking in. So Season 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 will be a maximum of 5 players. Or a minimum, of 5 players being locked into our starting 11. We've obviously got some decent players to look at, but we are losing Baniak. I'm worried that we're going to lose some of these other players as well. Who was it? It's not Wilk, it's Mucha. Mucha's the one that I'm worried we might end up losing him because obviously big teams want Mucha. So next season, we might need to find 2 more players to come into our starting 11. In fact, we will, because Sebastian Wilk is not going to be starting next year. I need to find somebody else to play instead. Just having a quick look to see if we've got anyone in our second team with stars on their name. We've got Kmisik. Mate, do we do this one? Do we go for Jan? Jan might be the man to do the job. Senko, I feel like Senko might need to get called up purely because of his position, which is not ideal. Same with Saigan, might need to get called up because of his position. Rydzak as well, because he's a goalkeeper. I might need to call him up to the first team. Anyway, that is going to do it for Season 4. Catch me next time for Season 5. For our last 2 youth intakes with this Pogon side, in a Youth Academy Challenge, by the way, we've not had a head of youth development. I don't know how I've missed this, okay? I genuinely have no idea how I've missed this. We've not had a head of youth development. I don't know who's been bringing these players in. Luckily, we've not missed out too badly. We've still brought in some half-decent footballers. But the fact that we haven't had a dedicated head of youth development might have been a mistake. So Season 5, we're going to bring in ourselves a brand new head of youth development who's hopefully going to stay here until the end of this save. Otherwise, we might have Season 9 and 10 without head of youth development because I'll forget because their contract will expire. Anyway, last time around in Season 4, we managed to somehow finish second place in the Ekstraklasa. We got knocked out the Champions League and the Europa League and the Polish FA Cup, but we did win the Polish Super Cup. So we did technically win something last year, although it's a Super Cup and nobody really cares for it. Obviously, being Season 5 as well, we are going to have to lock in 5 players into our starting 11. 5 players who are starred, who have come through our youth intake, but we cannot pick players who have left the club and come back on loan deals. They do not count as players that we must pick, because basically, if they leave the club, they're probably too good for us anyway, so we need to try and bring in some more players into the first team fray, which means we're going to jump forward to the start of September. The transfer window will have opened and closed, some transfer business will have taken place, and we'll see what type of players we can bring in and what our starting 11 is going to look like. We have sold £11 million worth of players, and some of them have actually been starred. In fact, this man in particular has been starred, and I don't think he was ever going to make it, so we have moved him on to GKS. Taichi might be their name, for not a lot of money, but there is a big old sell-on in there as well. We've sold another one of our youth intakes over to Water Poznan for £18,000. For £115,000, potentially rising, I think, to £160,000, we have sold this man over to LKS Lodz. And then we've started selling some big players. Leo Borges, first of all, he has left. He's gone to Saudi Arabia for just £2.5 million. It is not a lot of money, but basically, we had no real choice. He wanted to leave once there was some interest from bigger clubs coming in, and we just had to take the money. I think he only had a year or 2 years left on his contract, so I've cashed in now. Mikel Angel Tobella has also left the club. He has moved on to Inter Milan for £2.5 million. There's a big old sell-on in this one. As I always do, if anyone's under the age of about 25, let's say, try and stick in a nice big sell-on, because if they do move on, we obviously get half of that money. And Mike Zonder has also left the club, signing for Porto. He's gone for the biggest fee, 5.75, potentially going up, I believe, to 6, although it says 5.75 and that's it. There was also a big sell-on in there for Zonder, much like some of the other players as well. We had the opportunity to loan back Zonder and Tobella. Didn't want to do it because basically they're not Polish, and it doesn't feel right to loan back players who aren't going to get into your first team because they've come through your youth intake and things like that. So Zonder and Tobella are just staying at their clubs and probably going to get loaned out to someone else instead. 2 players have joined the club because we have sold a very good central defender and right back, technically, or left back, sorry. We have brought in Kamil Palczewski? Kamil Palczewski. Sure, we'll go with that. He has come in from a fellow team in Poland. Not even going to try and say that. They got relegated a couple of seasons ago. He's cost £800,000, which I think is a pretty decent deal for a 19-year-old Polish under-21 international centre-back. And we have also brought in a Norwegian central defender as well. Fabian Winther from Bodo Glimt has cost £1.4 million. And I think there's an intermediary fee. They wanted to sell him. They wanted to sell Winther. He's ridiculous. I don't know why they wanted to sell him, but anyway, we brought in Winther. I think we've got ourselves 2 very good central defenders. Now, because we have brought these players in, they don't count as youth intake players, so we can't force play them. Because we can't force play them, we still need to pick 5 players to go into our starting 11. And these are the 5 that we have gone for. Mateusz Wolski keeps his place in defence because I think he's done quite well. It means one of the 2 new centre-back signings might be playing as a right-back. Góralski also keeps his place in the starting 11 because basically he's ridiculous. Krzysztof Mucha also keeps his place in the starting 11. This is going to be his 3rd season playing first-team football for us. Tomasz Kostrobala also is now getting locked into the first team on the right-hand side in midfield. I decided to play Kostrobala because basically they kept playing him as a right-back last season, and I don't want him to be a right-back. I feel like he's better as a winger, so we are locking him in. It means Vahan probably isn't going to play. Or maybe he will, because the final player that we are locking in is a defensive midfielder, which means we have not locked in our striker and Vahan might play up there instead. Lukas Kzenko is our defensive midfielder that we are locking in. He is quite clearly the worst player in our starting 11, but we need to start bringing in some players who aren't attackers through to our starting 11, and Zenko is the only one that really fits the bill at the moment. So this is what it looks like when you take a look. So Wolski on that right-hand side in defence, Zenko in the defence midfield on the right, then we've got Mucha, Góralski and Kostrobala across the attacking midfield roles, which I think is very good. And then we take a look, who were they likely to play up front? Sebastian Wilk. Wilk's technically our best striker. He started the season off well, by the way. If we take a look, he's already scored 6 in 9, 3 in the Champions League qualifiers and 3 in the league. So he started off okay. He's wanted, maybe. Do we loan him out for a year and go for someone else instead? Doesn't matter. We're not playing him this season. He's not being locked in. If he ends up playing a lot of football, I'm going to be annoyed, but there we are. One other thing to mention that I did not at the start of this season is we've lost our number 2 goalkeeper, technically. He's gone on a free transfer, out of contract. We just weren't going to renew it. And as we do every summer, we have spoke to the board and asked them for a few new things. First of all, we've asked them for an affiliate club, which we will get to in a minute. But we have also asked them to improve our youth facilities and training facilities, which they have agreed to. You'll probably notice there, the youth facilities were rejected, and then they were doing them. I asked for it, and they said no, and then like a week later they said yes. I don't understand, but there we are, they did it anyway. Our new affiliate club, by the way, is Motor, who are in the first division of Poland. I went for Motor because they actually have one of the best youth systems. That's why we went for them, not because I can loan them and they're in a decent level of football. We've got a couple of other youth clubs as well. Chemik Police, apparently, and Winter Wallin. These 2 are kind of useless, aren't they? Let's be honest. The final thing to mention, we have a head of youth development. It's taken 2 years. I still can't believe it has taken 2 years for me to realise we haven't got one. But we now have one. Stefan Chapwasat, a Swiss international legend, I think you'll find. I was just going to say footballer. Legend, 103 caps, 21 goals. Spent a lot of time playing around the world. Had a spell, actually quite a big spell, playing for Borussia Dortmund, but also playing for Lucerne, young boys as well, and a bit of grasshoppers in the middle. So, Stefan Chapwasat, I think he's very good. 15 working with youngsters. Judging player potential and ability, 18 and 16. So, I think we've got a good player here. It is an annoying player. He's a good player, but at 58, maybe not so much anymore. Annoyingly, his preferred formation does not match what our preferred formation is. There were a few options who did have that, but none of them wanted to be head of youth development. You'll probably notice Chapsat also didn't want to be one, but we offered him a lot of money, so he was okay with it. And yes, £325 a week is a lot of money, apparently. I almost completely forgot to mention that Grzegorz Baniak has extended his loan deal for another season from Napoli. We are paying a bit of his wages now, £2,700 a week. If we don't play him, but we will play him, we'll have to pay £7,250 a week, which I'm kind of okay with that as well. So Baniak is here for another season. We did get knocked out of the Champions League qualifiers, by the way, so we're in the Extraclasse, currently top of the table. We are mid-table in the Europa League because it's not started yet, so I'm hoping we can do all right in that, and we are still in the FA Cup because it's not kicked off long enough for us to actually enter the competition. So let's jump forward then to the 1st of April to see what youth intake we get, thanks to Stefan Chaprasat, and also to see how well things are going. I'd like to get out of the group stage in the top 8 of the Europa League, that'll be good. So first intake in a while where we've actually had a head of youth development, and it's not a very good one. It's a 2.5-star average intake, so we're going to fly through these ones very quickly. We've got Andrusko, who is a right back at 15. He is awful, but he's only 15, so he's got plenty of time to develop. We've got Mandrais, might be his name, who's a striker, once again 15 years of age. Actually doesn't look too bad. He might get better, not too convinced though. We've got Gregor Choynaki, might be his name, who is an attacking midfielder and striker. I'm kind of on board with this guy. I'm not sure why. I think it's his technical, his first touch and technique might be swaying me slightly. And Thomas Pakzuk is our final player, who's a defence midfielder, which is always quite good to have. But again, I'm not too convinced. So Stefan Chapsat's first youth intake, you can tell from the fact that some of these players haven't even joined the club on permanent deals. I don't think it's very good. This is the best man to come through, and I kind of have to agree with that. In Europe, then, we did manage to get out of the Europa League, but we eventually get knocked out by Rennes in the round of 16. So we get past FC Midtjylland 7-5 on aggregate. And in the group stage, we finished 16th place. 3 wins against Hajduk, Hammarby and PAOK, scoring 14 goals in those 3 games. 3 draws as well against Rennes, Sevilla and Frankfurt, and then 2 defeats against Real San Sebastian and Borussia Mönchengladbach. So I'm kind of okay with that. That's fine. 1 win. Well, one of those draws, 2 of those draws turning into wins would have actually put us into the top 8. So that would have been quite good. Obviously, we're not quite there yet. From an Extraclasse, however, we are undefeated after 26 games. 6 draws is all we've got. 20 wins and 0 defeats. We are keeping clean sheets as well. That's a lot of clean sheets. There was one thing that was annoying that did happen in the January transfer window. Lukas Zenko, a player who we actually locked into the starting 11, went out on loan because he was on the development list. And yeah, I've only just realised that, so we have to lock in somebody else, it's fine. It's Sebastian Wilk. He was playing anyway. I feel like it's not the end of the world that we've done that. Just looking at Cesare Mister, our goalkeeper, he has kept 18 clean sheets in 45 appearances. Conceded 50, which is a lot, but 11 clean sheets in 26 league games is very, very good. I think this might have been one of our best signings. And he's just a cheap goalkeeper that we found in Poland. So going back to our squad and what we've got locked in, it is exactly the same. So Wolski still in defence, Mucha, Gorlowski and Kostrobala as the attacking players, and Sebastian Wilk leading the line. He has been playing anyway. He's started 25 games, got 14 goals. He's wanted by Porto. He's getting good. Wilk's actually getting good. So let's jump forward to the end of the season, top of the Extraclasse at the moment. We're in the Polish FA Cup semi-final as well against Lechia, so maybe we can pick up another 2 trophies this season. Fingers crossed. Let's go forward then to the end of the season and see how things are gone. We lost 1 game in the league, so we are champions, which is obviously good, but we lost once against Jagiellonia, who finished in 10th place. We lost once. Oh, that's not good. We also did win the FA Cup. We lost right at the end as well. We almost had an unbeaten season. And then 3 games to play. We lose against Jagiellonia on telly as well. On TV, we throw away. And a 91st minute penalty. It gets worse. But it doesn't really matter. We are champions of Poland. We have won the Polish FA Cup, beating Radomiak in the final as well, which is what we like to see. So 2 more trophies in the bag. Let's take a look at some of the players. I say some. Let's take a look at the players that we locked in first to see how well they got on. Starting from the back, not expecting a lot of things from a centre-back. Mateusz Wolski, though, scoring 4 goals and 51 appearances. No assists, but he's done a decent enough job. And this is where it gets ridiculous. This is why we've won the league, because of our front 4 players. Kostrobala, his first season actually locked into the starting 11. 20 goals, 14 assists. Goralski, who's now played 127 first-team appearances in the league. 18 goals and 17 assists. Mucha, 15 goals and 9 assists on that left-hand side. And then Sebastian Wilk up front, scoring 29 goals, 2 assists. Compared to last season, where he got 9 goals, he's now got 17. So almost doubled his goals over the course of the season, which is very good. I do like to see that. We've also got Baniak, who's played a lot for us, obviously on loan from Napoli, 50 appearances, 24 assists for Baniak. That's insane. That is ridiculous. Golanski's played a couple of times off the bench, getting 2 goals in the league. In fact, he scored twice in one game. It looks like Marius Stepien was our number 2 striker, potentially. Starting once, coming off the bench 10 times, scoring 3 goals as well. So Stepien might be the heir to Wilk, although Wilk's like 18. So Stepien might never really play for us. We've also got Radzuwicz, might be his name, who's played a couple of times, one in the FA Cup and one in the Extraclasa. I imagine didn't really do much. And then a few other players as well who don't look like they've played for us. In fact, I know they haven't because they got zeros or dashes next to their appearances. So I think we've done quite well this season. Obviously, we've won the league. Assist-wise, Valkvist, again, getting huge numbers of assists from right back, 11 of them in all competitions. Banyak, we know, getting the most. And then goals, we've got the fact that we've got Goralski, Kostrobala and Wilk all up there. Ferrero getting 15 goals, most of them off the subs bench. I'm guessing you played left wing. You did. You barely... I mean, you didn't even play 45 minutes and you still scored a stupid amount of goals. Fair play. Gamboa getting 9 goals and 9 assists from defensive midfielders. Good. Vahan not playing anywhere near as much. Coming off the bench 24 times. Because I'm guessing you probably came off the bench in various positions this time. Yeah, attacking midfield. Right winger predominantly. So you were coming on for Kostrobala. But still, probably would have liked a bit more football, I think, for him. And Mizda finishing the season then with 20 clean sheets. 20 clean sheets, 13 of them coming in the league, which is approaching half. I mean, it's not half, it's probably about 2/5 of the matches he's kept clean sheets in, but still, that is a very good return for arguably he's not a bad goalkeeper by all means, but he's not like a world-class goalkeeper, is he? So Season 5 is in the bag. We are champions once again. Let's take a very quick look at the history. So we've won the Extraclasa 3 times, and we have won them, and it is every other season we seem to win it, so maybe... Season 6, we might not win that. We've won the Polish FA Cup every other season. If we win the league, we win the cup. And then we finish second. We finish first, then second, first, then second. If we finish second in Season 6, it's broken. The game's broken. Bearing in mind, Season 6, we will only be locking in 5 players into our starting 11 for Season 6. I'm not saying that I won't lock in 6. I'm just saying that we should be locking in 5 as a minimum. We can lock in up to 11 if we really want to. Trust me, we're not going to do that. But that's going to do it for Season 5. A very successful year. Season 6 then of our Youth Academy Challenge with Pogon means that we are now over halfway through, or just about at the halfway point right now of this challenge. And we are now 3-time champions of the Polish Ekstraklasa. We are 3-time champions of the Polish FA Cup as well. And if we're carrying on with our pattern, we will finish second this season. We finished first in Season 1, second in Season 2, first in Season 3, second in Season 4, first in Season 5, which means in Season 6, it's probably going to be second. As it is the 1st of July, we've also released a couple of players on free transfers after their contract expired. This guy, who played 0 times for us, he's not a very good number 7 goalkeeper, I guess. And Daniel Lonsar, or Lonkar, not quite sure, has also been released from his contract. This one was maybe a mistake, because he's obviously very, very good, but we have, in the last season, brought in some decent young footballers as well, so Lonkar probably wasn't going to play for us a lot this season anyway. As always, with the Youth Academy Challenge, we are locking in a total of 5 players this season. Obviously, Season 6, we could do 6 players that we're locking in, but it means by the time we get to Season 10, we're locking in 10 players, which is absolute madness, and I don't think we're going to have a good enough squad to be able to do that. So we're just sticking with 5 players locked into the starting 11 that have come through our youth intakes. These are players that I've starred myself to basically signal to me and to you that they are hopefully going to be good footballers. Players like Goralski, who is obviously very, very good and is still only 19 years of age. Anyway, let's jump forward to September when the transfer window has closed. We have a bit of money to spend, and by a bit, £42 million. The board wants us to spend this money, by the way, and I'm just refusing to do it because obviously it doesn't help us to spend this money unless we can kind of get some really good young footballers coming through, which also kind of defeats the point because basically we want them coming through our youth intakes and not from somebody else's. Let's jump forward to September and see what business we have done, which I don't think is going to be a lot. 5 players have left the club, 3 of them I believe on permanent deals. Rafael Jagiellio, who is a player who's actually come through their first youth intake for us, he has gone on a permanent deal to GHM, that's it, Zagbele Lubin, and gone out on loan to Wisla Plock. He's gone on a free transfer. Yeah, there you go. Luka Zahovic has also left the club. Wasn't playing. Last couple of seasons, hasn't really played much at all. He's moved over for just £43,000, potentially going up a little bit more. Basically, at the age of 32, he was kind of done. And finally, Thomas Kostrobala has also left the club. After playing 80 first-team appearances over the last couple of seasons, he's moved over to Bayern over in Germany, but has returned on loan until the end of the season. It's £4 million up front, potentially going to 5.5, and there is a hefty sell-on in there as well. So this is not a terrible bit of business at all. And joining the club, we've brought in a left-back for about 3.1 million, I think, £3.1 million. I'm not even going to try and say his name. I will try and say it, won't I? Brzezowski might be his name. Signed from Legia, Polish left-back. Looks very, very good. The reason why we brought him in, obviously, we don't have Baniak anymore. He has not been extending his loan deal for a third season from Napoli, so we've had to bring in somebody else, and this is the guy. And when it comes to players being locked into the starting 11 this season, we are going to be having in defence Mateusz Wolski, who is our decent 19-year-old centre-back now. In midfield, Lukas Gzenko is going to be keeping his place after he accidentally went on loan last season to Resolvia. I feel like this might be the worst one that we've got in our starting 11. We've also got Goralski, who we know, who looks very, very good. He's absolutely ridiculous, and the fact that we've kept hold of him is even more impressive. Christoph Mucha on that left-hand side as well. I am going to introduce a rule. If a player is over 21, I can't consider them to be a youth player anymore. So once Mucha turns 22, let's say, so in 2 seasons' time, he can't get locked into the starting 11, which might be a silly thing to do. And up front, we are going this season with Jan Kmishik, might be his name. He's currently out injured for just another 10 days or so, but he has started off the season very, very well with 2 goals against Gornik, a goal against Piast, a goal against Shakhtar, and a goal against Brookbet Malasia, might be their name. So he started off ridiculously well. 4 goals in 3 league games, 1 goal in the Champions League qualifiers as well. So that is our starting 11, or our starting 5, shall we say, in our team for this season. We obviously, if we have a look at the squad, sort by name, and we can see all of the starred players here. We've got all of these people. Arguably, Kostrobala probably shouldn't count anymore because he's on loan from Bayern. We've still got a lot of people, and some of them, I think, have got some high potential. Sebastian Wilk, obviously, he's played a lot of football for us, has been dropped for this season. Looking elsewhere, Michael Saigan. I was tempted with Saigan over Wolski, but I feel like Saigan might be better off going out on loan somewhere this season. And who else? I think this guy, Ratowski, might be good, although he's still only 16, so he's got a fair amount of time to develop at the moment. Just taking a look at the facilities for the club, we have been speaking to the board, consistently speaking to the board, by the way, about trying to improve everything. And as you can see, excellent training and youth facilities, exceptional academy coaching, and exceptional youth recruitment. I don't think we're at the top, but I think we are definitely one of, if not the best, when it comes to Polish youth intakes. That's very difficult to say. And then from a footballing perspective, obviously, that's why we're here. We have won the Polish Super Cup, winning in the final. Who do we beat in the final? We should probably be able to see. It is Radomiak, beating them 3-0. Not in the Polish FA Cup just yet. We are in the Champions League proper, which I think might be the first time we're in the Champions League proper, which is obviously amazing. But when you think we are way down in the 34th placed seed, so only Braga and Dinamo are below us. I think that's how it works. Maybe there's like a group of 7 or 8 of us. Maybe we're all kind of one seed. But yeah, we're going to get battered. If we get out of this group stage, something's gone wrong. And then in the Ekstraklasa, we are currently 2nd place, just 1 point behind Legia because we have lost 2-1 against Lech. We have drawn with Legia and we've won 6 matches. Radomiak, we know we beat Brookbet Tremelisa, again, can't say it, Piast Gornik, Lechia and Wisla Krakow. So we are doing all right. I would like to win the league again. I don't want to finish 2nd for what is becoming a pattern. It's definitely becoming a pattern if we finish 2nd, and I don't like it. Well, next thing to do then is to jump forward to the 1st of April, where we'll see our youth intake, see how well we are getting on with probably, I think it's only about 10 or so games left of the season to play when we come back in April. I want to get out of the Champions League group stage, but I feel like we're going to finish maybe 3rd or 4th from bottom. Somehow, we have managed to actually get out of the Champions League group stage. Yes, it is through the playoffs, but we've managed to do it. We've lost 4 matches against Napoli, Monaco, Man City and Porto. You'd expect to lose all 4 of them. We have drawn with Atletico Madrid, which you'd expect us to probably lose that one as well. And we have beaten Bayern and Atalanta and FC Midtjylland. We beat Bayern 4-2. Where did Bayern finish below us? Also, Atletico Madrid finished below us as well. And Atalanta. What happened here? I don't know what's going on there, but we've somehow managed to get through. The problem is, if we then jump forward to the knockout round, we lose against RB Salzburg. So we didn't really get too much further in the competition. But the fact that we got out of the group stage is pretty good. In the league, however, we are currently top by 5 points. Kamisic is the top goal scorer in the league, but we will come back to that in just a moment because we are right now going to take a look at our youth intake. And in case you're wondering, yes, he is still here. Stefan Chapsat is still our youth manager, youth development, head of youth development. That's what they're called for the moment. Notice I said for the moment. Is that a bit of foreshadowing? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, we have got a good intake. 3.5-star intake. We've got 4 players who are top. I've got 2 talents as well that are good, which I'm marking as maybe we want to keep them as well. First up is Radoslav Zak, who's a 15-year-old central midfielder who obviously will need to be retrained. Now, he does not have a high amount of potential, apparently, but his current ability is all right, so I'm going to take a risk on Zak. He is only 15 as well. He's got high determination, which I love, high teamwork, reasonable work rate as well, so he's got some decent mental numbers, technically as well, not awful. 9s, 10s and 11s in there all over the place. Physically as well, 9s, and then a few 11s and a 13 up there as well with his natural fitness. I think my coaches and scouts might be getting this one wrong, so he's coming in. We've also got Masiai Ginter, who is a goalkeeper. He's literally joined us, and he's been starred because he's a goalkeeper, because I'm determined to get one goalkeeper. Season 10, I want to be playing a starred goalkeeper. I'm not going to kind of commit to that, but I want to be playing one. Maybe it's going to be Ginter. Moving into the top talents, we have Jakub Wojcicki, might be his name, who is an attacking midfielder. I'm not sure if he's any good. Mentally looks pretty good. Everything else is kind of a bit all over the place. Like this shape, I do a lot of my kind of analysis, I guess, on players based on shape. This is not a good shape. This is a terrible shape. He's not fast. He can't defend. He can't header, and he can't attack. So he's really good with the ball at his feet if he doesn't have to do anything kind of remotely like he's going forward or backwards. Next up, we've got ourselves a centre-back who I think does look pretty decent. A nice high tackling number of 16 and bravery of 17, 6'2" as well, just 16 years of age. It is Maciej Mazrak, could be his name. Why have I picked Poland to do Youth Academy Challenge? Next Football Manager, I'm going to do it in England because I'll be able to pronounce them. Anyway, Mateus, I think is going to be a pretty good player. He's kind of on my list for maybe getting locks in. Not necessarily season 7, maybe 8, maybe 9. Rafael Matus is another attacking midfielder. Once again, I'm not convinced on this guy, but he's got some decent mental numbers. He's got a pretty awful shape. He's quick, though. I guess that is kind of the one benefit over the other guy, is he's quick. He's also still only 15. And apparently the best player to come through is Martin Wajczuk, might be his name, who is a right winger. He's all right. I quite like him. He's very aggressive. He's got 19 aggression and 16 teamwork, and he's 5'8". I don't know whether any of these things mean anything, but he's apparently the best player to come through our youth intake. Obviously, there are more players here. Some of them have been signed up. Some of them haven't. You'll notice Zach wasn't signed up, and I imagine purely because his potential ability is not very good according to most scouts. But I'm doing it anyway, okay? And the good news, by the way, on the 1st of April, Lukashenko has not gone out on loan. So he's been playing so far 26 matches, scoring 7, getting 5 assists, also playing 12 times in the Champions League and a couple in the Polish FA Cup as well. I was going to say it's worrying that he's only played a couple in the Polish FA Cup, but yep, for some reason, we are into the final. Do we only enter the competition? Like here? We do. Okay. No, we enter it in the second round. We enter it in the second round. So we beat Rakar, we beat that team, sure, and then we beat Lodz 5-0 to make it to the semi-final where we will play Lechia. We've got Gornik and Legia as the other teams. I'm hoping we could win the double again, and we're actually going to break the habit and win 2 league titles in a row. We're going to jump forward and find out whether that is actually going to happen. First of all, we are back-to-back champions of the Polish FA Cup, beating Legia in the final 3-2. So we have picked up the double so far this season. Or maybe make that the treble. We have won back-to-back extra classes, winning with a decent gap as well. 9-point gap between Pogon and Lech in second place. So we've broken the habit. We have broken the habit. We've gone from winning every other season, finishing second every other season, to winning 2 seasons in a row. We are where we want to be. In Season 6, we have managed to do some half-decent football, and if we can win the league every season now to the end of the game, that'll be perfect. So looking at players, taking a look at the 5 players that we have locked in, Mateusz Wolski is looking very good. I was not expecting him to get this good, but Wolski is looking very, very good at 20 years of age. He has only scored twice, got 3 assists, but obviously been playing as a centre-back, I imagine. Maybe as a left-back occasionally. Doesn't look like it because he's locked in. But Wolski, I'm very happy with him. Also, he's 16 leadership, so he should be the club captain by now. In defensive midfield, we have Lukas Ksenko, who is not very good. at 19 years of age. I'm not convinced this is a good idea. Maybe next season we replace Zenko, go with somebody different. But he's done all right. 9 goals, 6 assists, average rating of a 7.02 in the league. So he's actually done quite well in the 33 games he's played. But I feel like, judging by his potential ability, has now dropped down. We might be having to pull the plug on Zenko. Now into the interesting players. Goralski at 20 years of age he's had a cracking season. 18 goals, 18 assists. He is wanted. Who's he wanted by? It's normally Napoli. It's a whole bunch of teams actually over in Saudi Arabia, which we might be able to fend those off. I keep giving him new contracts, by the way, so he's got a 4-year deal. I keep giving him new contracts. He's quite happy here. Obviously, if we keep winning things as well, he should be quite happy to stick around. So, Goralski, for a player that came through in Season 1 and has been locked in since then, 158 league appearances, 57 goals and 52 assists. He's a good footballer. And so is Christoph Mucha. However, is this technically the last season that we can lock Mucha in? I'd say not. I'd say next season is the last one we can lock him in, because once he turns 22, then he's kind of over the age that we kind of want to consider as a youngster. Technically, looks very good. Mentally, looks very good, doesn't he? How was he done? 50 appearances, which is a lot. 15 goals, but just 4 assists from left wing. That's not a lot of assists. Considering his XA is at 7.5, he should have got a few more than that. But up front, Jan Kmicic, playing his first season locked in, has scored 42 goals in all competitions, 5 assists, 32 in 29 in the league. He's actually scored better than a goal a game in the Ekstraklasa, which is a lot better than I thought he ever would do. This was a good risk to take. The 6'5" Polish striker who's capped under 20s, he's good. I think we might have a potential superstar on our hands. So, of those 5 players, only Zenko is the one that I'm thinking is not very good. Everyone else there, still looking like a pretty good footballer. Some of the other players as well. So we've got Brzezowski, still not sure how to say his name, in his debut season, 20 assists in all competitions, 2 in the cup, 18 of them in the league. He's wanted. He's very good. He's wanted by Saudi Arabia. Fair enough. Linus Valquist, I will say that name properly at some point. 22 assists in all competitions, 3 goals, playing as a right back, I assume. I think this might be the last season that we have Valquist, or we just let his contract run out. He's got a year left. I'm not going to extend it. I don't see the point because he's getting on a bit. But maybe we try and cash in, get £1 million. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that £1 million because we literally just never spend anything. Kostrobala on loan from Bayern Munich, the team that we actually beat in the Champions League. He's done pretty well. 14 goals, 15 assists. Other players to look at when it comes to goals, we've got Vahan still getting a lot of game time, mostly coming off the bench by the looks of it, scoring 14 and 6 assists as well. We've got Lucas Ferreira, who started twice, came off the bench 25 times, got 7 goals and 6 assists. We've got a good team. We genuinely have a good team. Our number 1 goalkeeper, by the way, who is it? Is it still Mizda? I'm assuming it's Mizda. Where is he? He's there. Yeah, he's played 50 games. Okay. I did have a worry that we've started playing Salguero. He has played twice. He's not good enough to be our number 1 at the moment, but he's getting better. Taking a look as well, other players that are starred in the first team. So, Wilk did manage to play a few games, getting 6 goals. He's all right, isn't he? He's not as good as the other guy. We did not play Maslanka by the looks of it. Rydzek did not get a game. This man, Galansky, played a few off the bench. Nothing too exciting. He's actually leaving the club. Apparently, he's going to Lechia. He's out of contract. Well, maybe that might have been a bit of a dropped ball there. Ratalski came off the bench once. Not very good at the moment, but plenty of time. And Kolodziej. I think Kolodziej could be good, but the problem is he's stuck behind Mucha. So, do we retrade him as a left-back? No, because then he's stuck behind the other guy. Kolodziej might lose out purely on the fact that he plays the same position as other really good players in our squad, which is a shame. That's going to do it then for Season 6 with Pogon in our Youth Academy Challenge. Back-to-back champions of Poland for the first time ever. Next season, are we going to make it 3 out of 3? That would be absolutely amazing. We are obviously still locking in just 5 youth players, but we're now just kind of on a quest to get the best players coming through. So we are back-to-back champions for the first time ever with Pogon in the Ekstraklasa in Poland. In this Youth Academy Challenge, we're in Season 7. We are locking in 5 starred players, which are players that have come through our youth intakes in-game. And I've just spotted we have 5 players who are favoured personnel or even icons. So Kostrobala, Baniak, Kmicic, who literally played 1 season so far, and Goralski is an icon. I'm also an icon, which is nice to see. So that's quite good. It's Season 7. We want to win the league once again. I want to have a half-decent run in the Champions League as well, would be quite nice. Obviously, at the start of the season, we haven't done any business just yet. 2 players have left the club after their contracts have expired. This man here, who played 10 times for the first team, and Damien, who played 0 times for the first team. So we're not missing out on anybody too exciting at the moment. Financially, we do have £43 million, almost exactly £43 million to spend, and I'm not going to spend a huge amount of it because basically I don't see the point in doing it, because our team's actually quite good right now. I have also asked the board to improve our training facilities and build a new stadium. However, I'm expecting both of them to get rejected because we are constantly under sort of speculation that we are going to get taken over. So I'm worried that we won't get fired. Surely we won't get fired. We won the league 4 times out of 6 so far, so I think we should be safe there. But the fact that we might be getting taken over by a different board might affect whether they're willing to do too much when it comes to basically expanding the stadium, training facilities and all that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Also, for some reason, Stefan Chapfasat, who was our head of youth development, has signed a new contract as a scout for us. So we don't have a head of youth development. So I'm going to have to try and find one of those in the next couple of months. Speaking of, we're now going to jump forward to the start of September. The transfer window will open and close. Some transfer business will take place and we will have a new head of youth development. So 2 of our 4 assistant managers are from the Netherlands and they are legends in Dutch football. Arjen Robben is one of them, 96 caps, 37 goals. He is assistant manager number 1. Dennis Bergkamp is my primary assistant manager. I believe Robben is actually the under-19s assistant manager. Dennis Bergkamp, 79 caps, 37 goals. So I thought it would be only right to get in somebody else from the Dutch national setup who's also just as good, and this time as a head of youth development. And that would be Patrick Kluivert, 53 years of age. He's spent some time in Poland in-game as a scout for Wisla Plock and Gornik. We have brought in as a head of youth development, which he's not amazing at, but he's still pretty good at that. One good thing as well with Kluivert, he plays the same formation that we play, or he likes that formation. So it means that hopefully we can kind of get some players in that actually suit our formation rather than getting central midfielders and right wing backs and things like that because we don't need them because we don't play them. So in this transfer window, we brought in nobody. Absolutely nobody new has come into the club, but we have got rid of a whole bunch of players. This man has left the club on a free transfer, as has David Mazjak, which is probably not a good thing because he's actually not terrible. And Marek Galansky has also left the club on a free transfer. Leaving for a bit of money is Piotr Maslanka, who was actually kind of in and around the first team last season, but he's moved on for not a lot of money, but there is a sell-on in there. This man has also left the club signing for Jaglebe. Jagiellonia have managed to pick up this right winger for a small-ish fee, £43,500, but there again, much like the other transfers, there are sell-ons involved in these. But the big one is João Gamboa. He's moved over to Antwerp in Belgium for £325,000, potentially going up to £375,000. He has been playing, but the last season, maybe the last couple of seasons, he's kind of been starting to move away from the first team. He's 33 years of age now. He's just turned 33. I thought it was time to cash in, and that is exactly what we have done. And that is all the transfer business. We've loaned out some other players, hopefully getting them some first-team football. Kolodziej is one that I'm interested in because, as I said, I think at the end of last season, I want him to get good and I feel like there's something good there. Lukas Zenko as well played last season. He's not playing this season, so that's kind of a little bit of a surprise. And this man's gone out on loan as well as has this man here. So we're sending out some of the half-decent youngsters to get some first-team football somewhere else. It means for our starting 11... we've got some new faces. Starting off with the ones that you know, if they are 22 years of age, they will not be in the starting 11, but luckily so far everyone is still 21. Mateusz Wolski keeps his place because he's obviously very, very good. I think if we didn't pick him, he'd be playing anyway. Góralski is still at the club and has signed another contract. We've added an extra year onto it and bumped up his pay by about £7,000, I believe. He's going to be the attacker midfielder. Christoph Mutscher will be on the left-hand side, and he will be one of those players that next season we will not be able to lock him into the starting 11. So Mutscher, this is your last year starting officially, but you'll probably still be playing next year anyway, because as long as we don't lock in anybody into that left-wing role, Mutscher will still play there. And after an absolute breakout season last year, Jan Kmišik keeps his place in the starting 11. The 6'5" striker has already scored 13 goals in 10 appearances so far this season. 8 in the league, 5 in just 2 Champions League qualifying games as well. And the new player joining our starting 11 might be a bit of a surprise. Not least to him himself. Radoslaw Zak is now 16 years of age, came through last season's youth intake, And my assistant manager, or my scouts, coaches, whoever you want to say, did not want to sign him. And I've signed him and gone, you know what? I believe so much in Zach, I'm going to play him as well. This could be a disaster, but I feel like he's better than the previous player we had there, Zenko playing there. I think he's a better footballer. In fact, we can probably find out. They're very different footballers, judging by shape, but Radoslav Zach, much, much better when it comes to actual technical ability, on par when it comes to mental, but he's got better mental numbers. I'd rather somebody be more determined, have better decisions, than be more angry and have better flair. It doesn't make sense, and Zenko is much better when it comes to physical, but Zach has literally just turned 16. So that's going to be our starting 11 in the hope that we can retain our title for a third successive season. So far, things have kicked off all right. We are second place in the league. 5 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat against Slask, which is it's not a good defeat, although Slask are up currently in 6th place. We're in the Champions League, and because we did all right last year, we still aren't seeded for some reason. I would have hoped we would be slightly higher seeded, and we have once again won the Polish Super Cup. I believe it was a nice easy win, a 2-0 win there against Legia, so that is the 4th time we've won the Polish Super Cup. I think every time we've been in it, we've won the thing. Yeah, we won it, and the only 2 seasons where we weren't in it, well, obviously we didn't win, did we? So that's how things have kicked off so far. We're now going to jump forward to April, where we get to see our next youth intake. The first Patrick Kluivert youth intake, which I'm hoping is going to be pretty good. I'm hoping we don't get any stupid positions that don't match our formation, because we shouldn't do, because he likes to play this formation. So let's go forward. Let's see what Patrick's done. Patrick Kluivert has managed to pull out a golden generation in his first youth intake for us. In fact, his first ever youth intake. I've earmarked 6 players of these players that I'm hoping will be pretty good. We're going to come on to the 2 at the top, which I think will probably be the best ones towards the end. But first of all, let's look at Kowaliak. Might be his name. Kowalik, maybe. He's a right winger, 15 years of age. Nothing special at the moment, but I've kind of stuck a little star next to him because I think he could get good. There's lots of 7s and 8s and things like that in his mentals. Least amount of hope, I think, for Kowalik. Robert is next up. We're not even going to try it. Robert's next up. 6'2", centre-back at 15 years of age. Much like the previous guy. Not got a huge amount of hope for him, but he's got some very good mental numbers. 19 bravery, 16 determination, 14 aggression is very, very good. He's also got 14 jumping reach at 6'2". 9 heading needs a bit of improvement, but at 15 years of age, that's fine. That can get better. Moving forward into the good talents, we've got Mikael Lenkiewicz, who looks rubbish, but my scouts and coaches think he's pretty good, so we've brought him in. I'm not convinced on this one, okay? I think he needs a bit of time to develop. He's got a couple of months before he turns 16. I'm just not convinced, but he's coming as a good player, so or a top talent, sorry. So I'm kind of going to keep him about. We've got Kolapski. Next up, another central defender, 6'2", mentally looks pretty good. Physically looks alright. Technically looks, again, doesn't look amazing, but he's got some numbers that are close to getting half decent. So maybe Kolapski could be good. He's got a while, hasn't he? He's not even going to turn 16 until the 22nd of September. So next season, he's going to turn 16. And the 2 players from Patrick Kluivert's youth intake that I think the board think, the scouts and club and everyone else thinks will potentially be ridiculously good. Piotr Jasinski is first up, 15-year-old right winger who's not going to turn 16 until September, the end of September. He's ridiculously fast. He's very small. He's only 5'3", but he's got acceleration of 15, acceleration of 16, agility 15, pace of 14, very, very good. Mentally, not amazing, but lots of 10s there. Technically not amazing, but got some 8s, lots of 7s in fact. 7s, 8s, 9s and 10s in there as well. So Jasinski could get good. I think he needs a bit more time to develop, and we might not have enough time in this save for him to actually turn into a world-class player. Maybe he will though. And I think without a shadow of a doubt, the best player to come through this youth intake is Alex Bukowski. Could be his name. He is a 15-year-old, and he won't be 16 until midway through November, so he's barely 15. He turned 15, 6 months ago in-game? That's ridiculous. Physically looks very good. Mentally looks like he's got some good numbers in some reasonable places. 19 bravery is ridiculous. Technically also looks very, very good. He's a big old right back as well. 5'10", he's quite a sizable lad. I think Bukowski could be very good. We might look at locking in Bukowski next season. Because we have to lose Mucha next year, we might lock in Bukowski instead and see how well things go. So that is Clivert's first youth intake, and it's looking very good. We've got some other players who we have kind of, I say we've called up, we haven't called them up at all. This guy is the only one who's actually got a contract, who I haven't starred because he looks alright. Everyone else is not getting a contract because I basically ask the assistant or whoever to sign players, and then I kind of go through and see what ones are good. I've had a look at some of these guys and gone, not too convinced. Like, technically he's rubbish. He's absolutely rubbish. Mentally and physically he's pretty good, but technically he's rubbish, so we're not going to bother with him. So, Patrick Kluivert, so far, got a pretty good record of as a head of youth development for us. When it comes to competitions, we are in the Polish FA Cup semi-final once again, so hopefully we can win that. In the Champions League, we managed to get through the group stage again, losing, though, against Juve, but we finished 14th. We lost 3 times against Real Madrid, FC Porto and PSG. We drew with Servette. That's not good. We should have beaten Servette. And then 4 wins, Fenerbahce, Rennes, AEK and Juve. So we beat Juve in the group stage and then lost them in the knockouts. Oh, that's kind of annoying. In fact, that's very annoying because we lost both games as well. But what's even more annoying is the fact that we are second place in the Ekstraklasa. We are, 5 points behind Lech? That's a fair distance. That's a fair distance to close up. In fact, we're not too far away from actually being in 4th place. Just 1 point clear of Lechia, joint on points with Cracovia. We need to really turn this around. If we want to be 3-time champions on the spin, we need to turn this around. And much like last season, Kmishik, currently top scorer in the league with 20 goals. Maybe not as good as what he was last season. He's got 29 though. He's got 29 goals, 26 appearances, 20 goals so far. Kmishik he's good at football. I'm very happy with Kmishik. Anyway, we're now going to jump forward to the end of the season to see how well we have done. Have we managed to turn things around? Have we won the treble again, which is the Super Cup, the FA Cup and the league? Or will we bottle the league? I feel like the cup should be ours. The cup is ours, a 4-0 win in the final against Cracovia. However, the league is not. We finished 2nd place. Lech winning the league by just 2 points. I want to have a look at the schedule because I feel like it was going to be towards the end. I mean, maybe not. Maybe we just ballsed it up somewhere else. That's probably where we lost it. In fact, that's where we lost it in February, wasn't it? Losing against Motor Lechia in the league is not good. Losing against Slask as well. No goals scored against Motor and Slask either. When you think we're winning games sort of 7-0 and things like that, to score no goals in a match is a problem. So we've won the double. It's the first time we've won the FA Cup without winning the league. It's the first time we've won the Polish Super Cup and the FA Cup without winning the league as well. So, it's... I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's Season 7. Ultimately, our objective is not really to win competitions. It's just to produce decent youth players. And so far, we are definitely doing that. Of the 5 players that have been locked into the starting 11, then Wolski, who has now turned 21, so he's got 1 more season in the starting 11 until he will have to get dropped. He's good. He's just very good. The fact that he doesn't have Poland caps confuses me because I think he should be good enough to get Poland caps. And then my brain says he's only 21. So maybe he shouldn't be getting Poland caps at 21. Guralski, also in his final season, locked into the starting 11, has had a cracking year once again. 19 goals, 16 assists. I think last year was 18 and 18, so he's kind of hitting the same numbers year on year. Next season will be the last time we keep him locked into the starting 11, but much like Mucha, if we just basically don't put anyone else in that position, we should be fine. We should be getting Guralski for plenty more seasons to come. Speaking of Mucha, now at 22, 21 goals, 9 assists in 49 appearances. Has he been playing in the middle? No, he's not. He's been playing on the left-hand side. He scored 4 against Piast and got subbed off after 70 minutes as well. That's ridiculous. He's good at football. He's another one of those players like Guralski that he's just really good. And again, I'm confused as to how he does not have Poland caps. Kmishik as well. Another ridiculous season. 24 goals in the league, so much, much less than last year. 36 in all competitions. He's wanted by somebody. He's wanted by a team over in Saudi Arabia. He's had a good year still. Considering he went on loan for a season, which has kind of broken his kind of goals to game ratio, but he's just good. He scored 56 league goals in 63 league games for us. That's a very good turnaround. And he's obviously getting better as well. Technically is what lets him down, but he's got lots of 8s, 9s and 10s there. 9 first touch, 8 free kick taken, 10 heading, 9 long shots, 8 passing, 8 penalty taken. So bump those numbers up by a couple and he's going to look like a ridiculously good player. And I've saved the best till last. And by best, I mean the youngest till last. Radoslaw Zak is now 17 years of age. 12 assists, pretty good turnaround. Just the 3 goals. but playing in defence midfield, I wouldn't expect him to get a huge amount of goals. He has improved a lot, has he not? Is that just me thinking he's improved a lot? But he looks so much better. My coaches have already said that he's exceeded what they initially thought. His potential ability has now gone up to 3.5 star as well. So Zach is getting better. I think we might be sticking with Zach until the end of this save, which, by the way, there's only 3 more seasons to go. So he's not even going to be 20, or he will be 20 by the end of those 3 seasons. Zach's done pretty good. If we sort by goals, anyone else doing a lot of goals, that's good English. Vahan is there, as always, 13 goals, 6 assists. He's leaving, however, at the end of the season because he's out of contract. He's going to Slovan Bratislava. I wasn't going to extend his contract, so I'm kind of okay with this. Valkyrie as well did get his contract extended for another season. I think this is due to the fact that he played like more than 10 games, so that is why it's done. I didn't do this, but he's got another year on his contract. He's done well once again. 17 assists for a 33-year-old right back. Getting 17 assists is good. And Brozowski on the opposite side has got 18 assists and a couple of goals to his name. He is 22. He's very, very good, and he's still wanted by a bunch of teams in Saudi Arabia. And that's kind of all we need to mention. We've got a load of players here who are picking up, 8 assists. We'll have a look, actually. We'll sort by starred players. We'll work our way up. There's a lot in the a lot of players now in the squad who have come through youth intakes. Thomas Pazchuk has played a few times, 12 times, in fact, this season. Most of them, in fact, all of them off the bench. He's played a lot of football. He's quite good, considering he's only 17. Wilk has only played a couple of times. I want to get rid of Wilk. I think he wants to leave as well, so Wilk might be off soon. Matus, who came through, I believe, maybe the season before youth intake, has got a couple of appearances to his name. Jasinski's not played yet. Rydzak's not played yet. Saigan has played 12 starts, 11 off the bench in the league. Saigan might actually be getting locked into the starting 11. We've also got this man, which I'm still not going to pronounce the name. He's played a few times in centre-back. Wajkuk has played 23 starts. I've not locked him in. Why is this man playing so much football? I don't know. That's ridiculous. He's got 8 assists and 5 goals. Stepien has come off the bench 12 times in the league, scoring just once. He's looking quite good. I think he spent a couple of seasons out on loan. In fact, last season went out on loan to Corona and played very well. So Stepien's come back, starting to get some game time. We've got Andrusko, who's played a few times as well, started a Champions League game, which is a concern. Anyone else? Ginter has not played. Wojcicki might be his name. He's scored and got an assist in the league. That's good to see. And this man has played once and scored once. I assume probably from attacking. He's played in the Champions League. I mean, we can't even see who it was against, but he made his debut in the Champions League and scored in it. Fair play. So there is a lot of players now who have come through our youth intakes who are getting decent amounts of game time. If we actually look as well, if we scroll down, we've got players here like Winther. He's one of our best players. We've signed him and he's only 21. We've got another guy, where is he? Is it you? I think it's you. Another player who we signed, but he's still only young as well. He's actually got Poland caps. Hold on, let's take a look. In the national team, sorted by star players. So 3 starred players are in the Poland national side. So Baniak is in there, Kostrobala is in there, and Kmishik is in there. But other players of ours as well. Brozowski is in there, and Palsiewicz, this guy, Kamil, is also in there. Under 21s, 4 players of ours in the under 21s, and they're all starred. That's good. In the under 20s, we've got Ginter, and we've got a couple of others who are currently out on loan. Under 19s, we've got 5 players of ours. One of them isn't even starred. Frankowski's not starred. Maybe he should be. And then in the under 18s as well, we've got 3 players. Matters, one of those players who I've got high hopes for him. I feel like you should be more of a defence midfielder than an attacker midfielder, but there we are. So that's going to do it then for Season 7. Unfortunately, we did not win the league, but we did manage to win the cup. So we are still picking up lots and lots of trophies. We've got 5 Polish FA Cups. We've got 4 extra classes as well. We've got 4 Polish Super Cups to our name. So things are looking good. Next season, we've got 3 seasons to go, and we're going to be losing one of our main players, and that is Krzysztof Mucha. He's going to be dropping out of the forced starting 11, but he'll still be getting plenty of game time. So join me next time for Season 8 to see how well we do with Pogon. We've got just 3 more seasons to play in this Youth Academy Challenge save with Pogon over in Poland, and we are once again hoping to win the Extra Klasse. Obviously, last season we did not manage to do that. Lech were the eventual champions, but I'm hoping we can get back to where we were and at the top of the table. Also, we're in the Champions League, Polish FA Cup and the Polish Super Cup, and I'm hoping we win the Polish FA Cup and Super Cup. I feel like if we get even into the Champions League group stage, that's kind of good. If we manage to go any further than that, that's just a bit of a bonus. And just to remind you, in Season 8, we are locking in 5 players minimum who have come through our youth intakes over the past 7 seasons. And any player that is currently over the age of 22 at the start of the season will not be allowed to be locked into position. It doesn't mean they can't play, but it means they do not count towards the 5 minimum, which means Christoph Mutscher, he's now too old. But luckily, Goralski, not quite there yet. This will be his last season locked into the starting 11. Obviously, on the 1st of July, the transfer window is already open, and we've done no business so far. But we have released one of our youth players, and that is Mateusz Pazczuk. He's not a player who's actually played for us, and I don't think he's any good. Not that this really makes too much of a difference. We've got £45 million to spend from a transfer budget perspective. £762,000 per week wage budget. We are spending not even £200,000 per week. If we wanted to, we could Man City this squad, like, immediately. Because I imagine, we're not going to do this, but I imagine we can bump that transfer budget up 65 million and still have £350,000 a week to spend. We're not going to do it. We don't need to do it because we're trying to take players from our youth intakes and turn them into world-class footballers. Let's jump to the end of the summer transfer window. We can see any new players that have joined the club, and then we'll also take a look at the 5 players that we are locking in for Season 8. So it's the 3rd of September, and we have sold Robert Ferreiro. He has gone to Mallorca, and that is partially because we don't really play him, and he's gone for a decent fee as well. £2.3 million, potentially going up to 2.9, and a nice hefty sell-on as well. But he's not the only player to leave. He's the biggest name player, I guess, to leave. We've also sold Anthony Klakowski. He has left. He's gone to Apoel Limassol in Cyprus, I'm going to say, and he has cost £400,000. One of our youth intakes has gone on a permanent deal to Lech as well. Jakub Mandries has left the club. The reason why we've done this is because I don't think we were going to ever play him. And we've got £350,000 potentially going to 475 and a nice hefty sell-on as well. On loan last season in the 2nd tier. He's gone on loan again this season to the 2nd tier as well. And Vahan has left the club. He has moved over to Slovan Bratislava on a free transfer. 222 league appearances, scoring 10 in his final season as well, but he was out of contract. He's also 31, so he's not old, but he's kind of getting to that point where you think maybe we can kind of replace him. And obviously we've got our own players coming through youth intakes that will be replacing him anyway, so Vahan has left the club. We have brought in one player though, and he was weirdly cheap. For £245,000, we have signed Italian right-back and centre-back, technically, although he's definitely a right-back, Nicola Cipriani from Bayern. He's played twice for Bayern, 30 times for their second team. He's cost nothing, really, but I think he's good. I think he's a really good player. I imagine he's one of those people that, for Bayern, they've got lots of good right-backs, so he was never going to get playing for them, and they just wanted him out of the club, and we were the first team to come in for him. And that is it for transfers. We've obviously loaned out some players as well. Rydzak going on loan. We've loaned out Mark Idris to Cordoba because basically he's not going to play for us. Watalski, Saigan and Mazdrak have all gone out on loan in towards Poland still. I believe they're all still in Poland. And anyone else, a couple of more players down the bottom there also going out on loan. The Extra Klasse season has started off ridiculously well. Currently top of the table, 5 wins, 2 draws, 0 defeats, a positive 20 goal difference. So we've won some games by ridiculous margins by the looks of it. 3-1 against Mota, 4-1 against Jagiellonia, 5-1 against Radomiak, 5-0 against Rakow, and a 7-1 against Rozovia, and a couple of draws as well, both 1-0 against Lechia and Lech. Annoyingly, we did get knocked out of the Champions League qualifiers against Austria Vienna, which is kind of frustrating, but it means we're now into the Europa Conference League. Not Europa Conference League, the Europa League. Yes, the actual Europa League, and we are seeded-ish. We are 9th. We are almost top seeds for this competition. We are just outside of that in 9th place. So we're one of the better teams. I would expect, if not, let's say, we'll hope, not expect, but I'd hope we are good enough to finish in the top 8. I expect we should be getting through the group stage. Also, we didn't win the Polish Super Cup. We lost 3-2 against Lech. So, yeah, that's kind of annoying. But I guess that's not what we want to take a look at right now. Right now, we want to take a look at the players who are going to be playing in our Season 8. What 5 players have we locked in? Mateusz Wolski keeps his place in defence, but this will be his last season being able to be locked into the starting 11 because he will be 22 come the start of Season 9, but he stays there for now. Similarly is Piotr Goralski. He is going to be turning 22 towards the end of the season. In fact, towards Christmas, he's going to be turning 22, and once he does that, he will not be able to be locked in for season 9, but he'll be getting his final season as that attacking midfielder. But I've already planned in my head, if we don't lock in a left winger, a centre-back, and an attacking midfielder for the final 2 seasons, Goralski, Mucha, and Ozalski can still play. Leading the line for what will be a 3rd season is Jan Kmišik, who's been very, very good so far. 20 years of age, so we've still got a couple years left for Kmišik to still get some first-team football. Since he broke into the starting 11 in that season there, he's been utterly ridiculous. Started this season quite well. Radoslav Zak will keep his place in the starting 11. Obviously, last season, this was a bit of a risk, but it was a risk that kind of paid off. 33 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists last year. Already playing 7 in the league and getting a couple of assists as well. Zach, I think, is going to be very, very good. My coaches are slowly coming around to this. If you remember last season, I believe, or the season before when he came through the youth intakes, they said 2.5-star current ability or potential ability, and I didn't believe it because his mental numbers were so good, and he's kind of proving me right, which is very nice to see. And we've got a new player starting in right wing, and he's 15 and not very good. I've done another risk. It worked so well with Zach, we're trying it with Jasinski. Now, Jasinski is the opposite end of the spectrum to Zach. Zach, my coaches did not think he was very good. However, with Jasinski, my coaches do think he's very good, and I'm not convinced. So, I'm going to try and prove them right and me wrong. That's what I'm going to try and do. He's very good physically. Acceleration is ridiculous at 16. Pace at 14. Agility, 15 as well. Good numbers there. Mentally, not horrendous. Lots of 10s in there. Quite a few 7s as well, though. Technically, not amazing. 7s, 8s all over the place. 9 for dribbling, 11 for crossing, and 11 for finishing. So he's going to be playing a season on that right-hand side. In fact, I'm assuming, I'm not committed to this, but I'm assuming he's going to be playing 3 seasons on that right-hand side. By the time he finishes, or we finish, he's going to be, what, 18, if that? He's a child. He's a literal child. So this is what our starting 11 looks like, or our starting 5. Wolski in defence, Zach, Jasinski, Goralski, and Kmišik leading the lines. If we have a look at the squad very quickly, sorting by starred players, Mucha is a starred player still at the club, but he is over the age of 22, so he's not locked in. But you will probably have spotted we didn't lock in a left winger, so that is fine. I believe Mucha might be the only one still at the club. Yes, it is only Krzysztof Mucha we need to worry about. Next season, however, it becomes a bit more of an issue. Wolski, Goralski, both of those will also miss. So we're going to be down 3 players from our best 11, technically. And then even the season after that, we're going to be missing Zenko. Not that he's any good. Kmišik as well will be missing as well. Saigan, we don't really play Saigan. So we should be okay. Come season 10, we should still be fine. But we're going to be kind of risking it. I'm wondering whether Ginter might end up needing to get played at some point, just because I'm not going to want to lock in a striker. For season 9, or season 10, sorry, I'm not going to want to lock in a striker. Kmišik will be too old, but he should still be good enough to be our number 1 striker. Mucha, we don't want to lock in a left winger. We don't want to lock in an attacking midfielder for Goralski. We don't really want to lock in a centre-back for Wolski. It means we might need to lock in fullbacks, a right winger, a goalkeeper, and defensive midfielders for season 10. But we are not at season 10. We're on season 8 at the moment. We need to see how well things go. And obviously, we've got 2 competitions that we want to win. Technically, we want to win the Europa League, but I feel like we're never going to do that. Just for my own sanity as well, Patrick Kluivert still as my head of youth development. So we've not lost our head of youth development at the moment. I said at the moment as if I'm expecting to lose him. I don't want to lose Patrick Kluivert, but he's still here, okay? So now we've got all that out of the way, let's jump forward to the start of April. We can see what type of youth intake Patrick Kluivert brings to the club, and are we going to get ourselves a golden generation, or is it just going to be a whole bunch of junk once again? I've got to this part of the video and I've realised I've ruined it by giving away the title of the video, but we've got a golden generation. We've got a golden generation. Patrick Kluivert has taken 2 seasons to get us a golden generation of Polish footballers. So we're going to take a look. We've actually starred 8 players, which I think is unprecedented for the amount of players that we normally star. Also, look at the positions. Defensive midfielder, centre-back, defensive midfielder, left-back, right-back, central midfielder, centre-back, and even a goalkeeper in Damian Pelek. Now, I've got 4 of these players in mind I think will be very good, but we're going to take a look at all 8 of them. So Anthony Ozlewski is first up. Defensive midfielder actually looks pretty good. Technically, lots of 6s and lots of 8s, which is kind of weird looking, but he's all right. He's not bad. Premek Goron is next up, and I believe he could be very good. And I'm basing this on the fact of 20 determination and 18 bravery, and he's only 15. I think Goron could be a very good player, which, as I was saying earlier about Season 10, Goron might be playing from Season 9. Next up, moving slightly further up the pitch into the defensive midfield role, is Marcel Andruski. Again, another player mentally looks really, really good. I've got kind of high hopes for him. What's kind of setting me off and throwing me off from this guy is more our formation. He's got lots of passing and technique, but we kind of played slightly more defensive football. I think he's more suited for more attacking football. But, you never, I mean, he's 16. He's 16. We can retrain him. We can do all sorts of things. We've also got ourselves a decent left-back and possibly a central midfielder in Dominic Sekot. Not convinced too much on him. I've kind of starred him because of the coaches. 4-star potential, ability, physically, mentally, lots of 11s all over the place. Technically as well, a couple of 11s in there. Technically lets him down, mentally as well. He's got some poor numbers, particularly determination is a big one for me. I like to have a nice high determination, a decent work rate as well, decent teamwork. He's kind of lacking, but like I said with most of the other players, he's only 15. Moving from left back to right back, we have Dawid Szymanski or Szymanski, not quite sure. He is 15 years of age. He's actually looked quite good, but also doesn't look quite good. I'm confused by this guy. He's not one of the ones that I've earmarked for great success, but I don't think he's going to be particularly bad either. And now the final three, I think, are going to be very, very good for us. Patrick Mahaj, not quite sure. Mentally, just look at those numbers. Look at those numbers. 16 determination. He's got 14 teamwork, 13 vision, 9 work rate, a little bit on the low side, but obviously still a little baby boy, so he's still got time to grow. Composure and decisions of 12 as well is quite good. Technically, passing and technique's also good. So I think Patrick Mahaj could be going places. Also, not a clue how to say that name. And alongside Goron, we have Tomasz Matajic, could be his name. He's 16 years of age, centre-back. I think Goron and Matajic could be central defensive partners in the Poland national side. I've said it out loud. They're 15 and 16 years of age. I think he's going to be world class. I'm basing this off the fact that his valuation is 3 million. 3 million's a lot for a 16-year-old, okay? So I feel like there's definitely something going on there. Mentally, got some decent numbers. 19 bravery is pretty good. Technically as well, for a 16-year-old, having 13 tackling, 11 heading is actually pretty good. Physically, got some reasonable numbers, but we're not expecting our centre-backs to be running around all over the place. He's 6'2", 13 jumping reach. Tomasz, I think, could be very good. And is this our new number one goalkeeper? Damian Pelek, 16 years old. His value goes up to £1.2 million, which says to me that he is going to be pretty decent. Natural fitness of 16. Do you need that for a goalkeeper? Probably not. Mentally, very, very good numbers. 16 determination, 13 concentration to me. Those are important for a goalkeeper. Leadership of 14. Do you need a goalkeeper to be high in leadership? If we do, we've got one, which is good to see. Goalkeeping as well. Aerial reach, handling, punching tendency, I'm not sure whether that's a good thing actually, and reflexes all in the yellow, in the double figures. A few other numbers as well, just outside command of area, communication, kicking one-on-ones, passing, all on 8s and 9s. I think Damian Pelek could be replacing Ginter as our number one goalkeeper for Season 10. Or Season 9, probably not Season 9. I think we'll stick with who we've got at the moment. So yeah, Patrick Kluivert has, he's produced a golden generation of footballers, and I'm excited. I'm kind of annoyed that it's come so late on in the save. If this came through maybe like Season 4 or 5, we would probably see them blossom to their full ability in this save. We will be doing a video, which will be 5 years in the future. So after technically 15 seasons, we'll see how well some of these players have got on. So some of them, like Matajuk and so on, it's going to be, 7 years, I think, 7 or 8 years into the future. So they're only going to be like 24, 25. They'll actually be 23 because I can't do maths. Now we've got all that excitement out of the way, let's get back to business and take a look at what is going on in various competitions. So in the Extra Classe, top of the table with 20 wins. Have we lost a game? We've lost 4 matches in total. Drawn just the 2 at the start, and then 20 wins in total. A 9-2 victory against Rakow. We like to score goals, don't we? Kamishik, top scorer with 25. In the Europa League, we get knocked out by Spurs in the round of 16. So losing 2-1, 6-3 on aggregate. We did get past Braga, 6-5 on aggregate in the league phase. Down in 15th. I would have liked to have been higher. Beating FC Rapid, beating Torino, and Zrezinski. Drawing with Apoel, Monaco and Bruges. Drawing with Apoel, not a good result, is it? And then losing against PAOK and PSV. Arguably, we should have beaten PAOK as well, considering they finished down in 28th. But we are also still in the Polish FA Cup against Slask, who are an Extra Classe side. Cracovia and Rakow are the other 2 teams in the semi-final, so I'm hoping we can win this one again. We've won it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times out of 7 so far. Can we make it 6 out of 8? Well, we are going to find out as we jump forward to the end of the season, and we are going to see what happens in the FA Cup first. We do make it 6 wins out of 8 as we beat Cracovia 3-2 in the final. So we got past Slask 6-1. We absolutely batter them. And then, beating Cracovia 3-2 in the final. But also, we have won the Ekstraklasa, which kind of was never in any doubt at all. Legia, 10 points behind, 12 points Lechia were behind, and then 19 points was Rakow. So it's kind of a 1 or 2 team kind of league at the moment. Although Lech won it last year, and then they were, 24 points off winning it this year. Something bad happened for them to lose 10 games. So let's take a look at the 5 players that we locked in first of all. Mateusz Wolski, now 22, so the final season is over for him. He will have to basically get in there on merit at this point. He's done well. I mean, he always does do well. He's very good mentally. Mentally, he's a very good footballer. Technically, he actually isn't amazing, is he? But the mental numbers are there that kind of allows him to do quite well. I wonder whether he's actually going to be good enough to play for us next year, because we've got some pretty good centre-backs. We've got Winther, and there's another Polish guy who's young, who didn't come through our youth intake. So maybe Wolski might not get any game time. Moving further up the pitch into midfield, Radoslaw Zak, now 18 years of age, still improving, still getting good. 13 assists from that defence midfield position, which is a lot of assists to get 3 goals to his name. He's wanted by... It's Lech. Okay, I was worried that was going to be Saudi Arabia or PSG. Luckily for us, it is currently only Zek who are interested, and we should be good enough to just kind of fend off that interest. The final season of Goralski is also over, with 24 goals and 20 assists for the now 22-year-old, who doesn't have any caps. I'm so confused how this guy has no caps for Poland. He's got 6 under-21s caps as well, so he's not even getting into that squad, which I don't believe Poland are very good in this save. Goralski should be getting first-team appearances for them. Jan Kamishik playing as that striker, getting another ridiculous amount of goals. 31 in 29 league appearances, 48 in 47 in all competitions. Now 21, so he's going to be entering his final season locked into the starting 11 next season. Kamishik's been very good for the 3 seasons that we've been playing him. He's scored stupid amounts of goals. What is that? 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 87 goals he scored across 3 seasons. That's madness. That is absolute madness. And finally, the risk that was Piotr Jasinski has done all right. 10 assists and 10 goals. Still only 16 years old. He's not really improving too much. His agility's gone up from 15 to 16, which is good, I guess. Technically, nothing's really changed, apart from apparently his heading has improved. I don't need a 5'5" winger to be trying to do headers with jumping reach of 2. Basically, you'd be better off not even trying to go for headers, mate. So far, unlike the Zak experiment, where I thought he was going to be good, I'm still backing myself and thinking Jasinski isn't going to be good. Because the coaches think he's amazing, and I'm just not seeing it myself. Looking at the squad as well, Sebastian Wilk obviously has played 1 season locked into the starting 11. He's played a few matches, just the 5 goals for Wilk. No one else really has made kind of big numbers. Wojciech has played quite a few. In fact, he's played 24 off the bench, which I imagine on the right-hand side. So yeah, he's been playing for Jasinski, which I'm kind of okay with that, although Wojciech I don't think is very good either. He's played a lot of football though. Stepien, I feel like should be getting more game time, but Kamishik is just better than him. Butcher, obviously, because we left that left wing slot open, did play a stupid amount of football. 51 appearances, 2 off the bench, 22 goals and 16 assists. I imagine he was definitely up there when it comes to scoring goals. Linus Valkvist was our 4th top goal scorer at 34 years of age, playing as a right back, scoring 12 goals, getting 11 assists. We've got Jasinski as well in 5th place with 10. Sorting the assists, Brzezowski even, has done very well, as he always does, in that left-back position with 25. Goralski with 20, Mucha with 16, Zak with 13, Cipriani getting 13 as well. So has he been playing a huge amount of football? It seems like he's probably been rotating with Valkvist. But also, am I imagining this, or is he not just a ridiculous footballer now? This was my theory, that he was just not good enough to get into the Bayern squad, but he's ridiculously good. And I think I was right. Cipriani's amazing, which means we're probably going to lose him at some point, aren't we? We've also got Palzewski, who's playing, I assume, as a centre-back, maybe even a defence midfielder by the looks of it, who seems to have got a lot of assists. He's playing as a defence midfielder, so he's got 10 assists and 6 goals. So it's probably been him and Zak in defence midfield, which is kind of confusing, but there we are. We are going to take a very quick look at the Polish national side because I just want to see how many of our players are actually in the squad. So if we sort by starred players, we have got Baniak is in there, who's not technically ours at the moment. He's playing for Napoli. I say at the moment, he's not ours, is he? He plays for Napoli. He's obviously quite good. His contract up in 29 days. Interesting. Kostrobala as well, who's playing for Lechia on loan from Bayern, is obviously one of our former players. But that is it in the first team. We've got Brozowski and Pałkowski as well in there, but obviously they did not come through our youth intakes. In the under-21s, though, we've got a lot. Bukowski, Kolodziej, Ginter, Saigan, Rydzak, and Jasinski all in the under-21s. Is the under-20s the thing? Is Damian Pelek is in there? He's not the one who's just... He's the one that's just come through. I'm surprised that a player who's just come through the youth intake is already in the under-20 setup. We've got Kolapski, Andruski, and we've got 2 Marcel Andruskis. Andruskos, even. They're literally the same name, different position. So we've got 2 players with the same name, which is amazing. Manstrak as well is in there. So is this man's name. Can't really pronounce that, so we're not going to try. And Thomas Masazjuk as well is also in there. Which again, for a player who's literally just come through the youth intake, that's impressive. I think Andrusko as well has just come through. The younger one, obviously. And also, in the under-18s, we've got Wojcicki, or Wojcicki? I'm not sure. Jakub, he's there. I do like Jakub. Jakub looks quite good, but I feel like, because he's in the under-18s, and not in 19s, 20s, 21s, I feel like he's not very good. So that is going to do it then for Season 8. Season 9 means we'll be dropping 2 more of our regular starters from our locked-in 5 players. It means we have to pick a couple more new faces to make this team sheet up. And I probably need to make sure we don't lock in a centre-back and an attacking midfielder as well. So, maybe next year is the new season when we have a goalkeeper locked into the starting 11. I feel like it's a terrible idea, though. Season 9 is here then, and we say goodbye to a very long-standing player. Linus Valkvist, at 34 years of age now, has been released from his contract. It expired, and we did not renew it, which might be a bad thing, because he's still been playing consistently for us over the last few seasons. I think maybe at the end of this season, or possibly even the season before, he was supposed to leave, and I extended his contract, gave him a new deal, things like that, and he's just kept getting game time, but Linus Valkvist has now left, because basically he is 34, and I can't bring myself to give a new contract to a 34-year-old. I'm sorry. And that is all that has happened so far on the 1st of July. Obviously, last season we won the Ekstraklasa, we won the Polish FA Cup, but we did not win the Polish Super Cup, and we got knocked out in the Champions League, and then the Europa League as well. We got knocked out by Spurs, so I'm hoping for a much better performance in Europe. That's what I want to do. I want to get to the Champions League proper, and maybe get out the group stage. But realistically, we don't think it's going to happen, do we? Last season, we had to say goodbye to Krzysztof Mucha from our starting 11, and this season, we have to say goodbye to Mateusz Wolski, who is now 22. So, if you missed last episode, basically, if a player is over the age of 21, so if they are 22 years of age at the start of the season, I cannot lock them in to a starting 11 position. It doesn't mean they can't play, it just means they don't count to my 5 players that I have to lock into the squad. Wolski, unfortunately, is one of them. And possibly a bigger hit is Piotr Goralski, who has been amazing since he turned 16. Basically, the first season he came through, I believe he was the player that we locked in Season 2, technically. Goralski has just been amazing for us, and we are going to have to make sure that we leave the attack midfield position available, because Goralski should be playing there, and that's his only real good position. So we need to make sure we leave that empty, which kind of might put us in a bit of a sticky situation when it comes to actually picking our starting 5 players that we are locking in for the season. But we don't have to do that just yet. Just a reminder, this is what we had locked in last year, but we're going to have to remove Goralski. We're going to have to remove Wolski as well. So we've got Zach, Jasinski and Kmishik from last year who are still eligible. Does not mean we're going to keep with those 3 players though. We're going to jump forward to the end of September, where we have a transfer budget, by the way, of £47.3 million, a wage budget of £779,000, which we are not going to spend. We're going to jump forward to September and see what business has been done. 5 players have left the club on permanent deals, and 2 players have joined the club. Christian Tupai is the first one to leave. He wasn't any good. He played once and scored twice, I believe, in a cup game, if I'm not mistaken. He's gone for £7,000. We've also sold Gregor's Shoinaki, might be his name. He just wasn't good enough to play, and obviously Goralski plays in that position, so we've sold him on in the hope that another club can possibly make some money out of him, turn him into a half-decent player. Mark Idris has also left the club, obviously did not come through our youth intakes. We signed him from Dam a very long time ago. He's been sold to Widzu for £250,000. Sebastian Wilk has also left the club. Now, this one might be a stupid thing to do. He did have a couple of seasons in the starting 11. One really bad one, one really good one, but he has moved over to Gornik for £275,000. And it didn't last very long, did it? Nicola Cipriani has already left the club. We signed him from Bayern Munich for peanuts for £245,000. We sold him for £2.4 million, and I think there is a nice big sell-on as well in that one. So Cipriani had one good year, and he is off. But we brought in 2 new players. We spent £1.6 million on a defensive midfielder because we are looking extremely weak in that defensive midfield role. So Ahmed Laraki is a 20-year-old Moroccan international signed from Feyenoord. He's played a couple of times as well off the bench. He's also part Dutch, so that is also quite helpful for us. I believe that's helpful, although because we're in Poland, I don't think it matters if they're African or not, doesn't it? So yeah, Laraki is in, but we've also got somebody returning to the club. And I did kind of tease it last episode. Grzegorz Baniak he's back. His contract at Napoli expired. We have picked him up on a free transfer. He was not the only player whose contract expired, by the way. Kostrobala's contract expired. But if we go back and find him, where is Kostrobala? It's probably easy to write his name in, isn't it? There he is, Kostrobala. He's gone to Minnesota. So he went to Bayern Munich for £4.5 million with a nice chunky sell-on. His contract expired. He moved over to Minnesota on a free transfer. We did try and get him back, by the way. It wasn't just me ignoring him. We did try and get him back, but he went, you know what, guys? I'm going to go off to America and have fun over there, which is fair enough. We've also got a bunch of players going out on loan. No one really that important. Marius Stepien, I believe I mentioned last season in the last episode, that he needs to get some first-team football, so going out on loan to Slask in the Ekstraklasse could be very helpful for him as well. We've got Saigan going to Gornik, also in the Ekstraklasse. He's pretty good, but he's now 21, so we're never going to be able to lock him in. Anyway, Kolodziej, another player who's just unfortunate that he plays in the positions that we've got other players who are better than him at, so he's not getting any game time. So yeah, we've kind of just loaned out a whole bunch of players as well. I think we are in for an interesting season, and that is because we've locked in 2 new players in defence. And it might be a terrible thing to do, but we've gone for it. Jan Kamishik is the first player that we are locking in. Obviously, still eligible to be locked in, but this is his last opportunity to do so. He's played 8 times, scored 11 goals so far this season. I'm sticking with my guns, and Piotr Jasinski is going to be playing on that right-hand side for a second season. He is wanted by big boys. So maybe, just maybe, just theorising here, he might be good. There might be something about Jasinski, so let's play him for another season. Radoslav Zak as well will keep his place. He's turning into a ridiculously good footballer. Realistically, he's our best player right now. 3.5-star current ability. Radoslav Zak, very, very good footballer. And now the 2 new faces. We have Marcel Andrusko, the older of the 2 Andruskos, because we've got another one who I believe is just turned 17. Maybe he's still 16 at the moment. But yeah, Marcel Andrusko will be our right back for the season because we've lost Valkvist. And in defence will be Tomas Matajuk, a player who came through our youth intake last season, and I said I think he's going to be very good, so we're going to put a little bit of money behind that and give him a full season in defence. Obviously, if we have a look, we got quite a few decent centre-backs. Palzewski, Winther and Wolski, all very good centre-backs, so we are kind of taking a big risk by playing Matajuk there. If he turns into a good footballer, it's not going to be as big a risk as it looks like right now, but it is obviously a massive risk. If he's bad, we might not win the league. We might not even get into Europe if he's really bad. Especially when you pair him up with Andrusko on the right-hand side. This could be a big problem. So far, the season has started off pretty badly. We have won the Polish Super Cup. We have managed to get into the Champions League, although I think, if I'm not mistaken, we just got in there without qualifying for anything because we won the league. So yeah, you know what? We're in the Champions League because we were good last year. And the Ekstraklasse, we are 5th. We've won 4. We've not lost. Okay, that's a key part here. We've won 4, beating Mota 7-0, Arka 6-1, Cracovia and Zaglebe, beating them both 3-1. But 3 draws as well. Widzew, Lodz and Legia. And then no defeats. So it's good-ish start. Some of these draws should have been wins, and then this would look a lot nicer. So it's not the end of the world, but it hasn't started amazingly well. So let's hope that we can turn things around. So we're going to jump forward now to our penultimate ever youth intake in this save. Our Season 9 youth intake. Will we get another golden generation from Patrick Kluivert, or will we actually get just a bunch of junk once again? I say once again like we've had really bad youth intakes. We've had good youth intakes most seasons. In Patrick we trust. Maybe we put a bit too much trust in Patrick there. He's kind of done pretty badly. It's not awful by any means. It's not awful. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 players that I have earmarked as possible good players, and one of them has been flagged because he's a goalkeeper. We've got Amar Masson, who is not Polish, which I think is our first non-Polish player that we've starred, and he is a Belgian central midfielder. He doesn't look amazing, but I'm kind of bringing him in because I want to retrain him as a defence midfielder. And he's Belgian because, you know, we've not had anyone who isn't Polish come through yet. We've also got a striker in the shape of Sebastian Azikiewicz, could be his name. He is a 5'11" striker, but he's very good in the air. 16 heading. He's got 11 jumping reach, which could get better. 4-star potential ability. I think this guy could be all right. The goalkeeper that I don't have a huge amount of faith in is Kamil Gadja. He's okay. He is only 15. He's got some reasonable numbers. Going by shape, it's not awful, but also it's not great, is it? He's got some pretty bad goalkeeping kind of technical numbers, mentally as well. Got some reasonable numbers. 16 determination's good physically. Actually looks very good physically. Still only 15. Plenty of time to develop, but we've also got a couple of other decent goalkeepers who are way ahead of him anyway. Like this guy, and arguably he's not way ahead of him. We've got Paweł Michalski. Michalski? Paweł Michalski, that's his name. 15 years of age, once again. I think he's a much better goalkeeper. Still don't think he's a much better footballer. We can actually do a comparison with Gadja and see that they are probably quite similar. In fact, Gadja is better physically. They're on par mentally. And when it comes to technically, it is Paweł just about. So we've got two below average goalkeepers that might make it good. So yeah, maybe Patrick Kluivert is a bit of a hit and miss head of youth development. He did very good last season. This season, not so good. But it's fine because he did so well last year. I'm kind of okay with it. Also, luckily for us, we have turned things around in the Ekstraklasa. We are now top of the table. 2 defeats is all we've got to our name. 4 draws and 20 wins in 26 appearances. You can see there, Jan Kamishik has scored 31 goals. He's just turned 22. He's scored 31 goals in 23 league games. He's an absolute monster. So we are top of the table, which is good. In the Champions League, we've been knocked out in the league phase, which is not good. Wins against CFR Cluj and Ajax, a draw against Fenerbahce, and 5 defeats against arguably 5 teams that we should probably lose against. Maybe we should be good enough to beat Galatasaray, but other than that, I would expect to lose the other games. And we are still in the Polish FA Cup because we win this most seasons. Season 9 is going to be, what is that, 7? If we win it in Season 9, that'll be 7 wins out of 9, which obviously is very, very good. So that's quite nice to see. That's going to be it then, until we jump forward to the end of the season. Hopefully we can keep things on track, win the league once again, which would be our 2nd in a row. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of... We've got 5 out of 8 so far, so 6 out of 9 would be quite good. 2/3, we win 2/3 of the leagues. That would be nice. Well, first of all, that's not good. That is not good reading. Losing in the semi-final of the FA Cup 4-1 as well against Rakow. That is not good reading. However, what is good reading is we did win the league. Since the last time we checked in, we've lost no more matches. We have drawn 1 more game, but then we've won another 7, I believe. So we are champions of Poland for a 2nd season in a row. 6 times out of 9 we have been crowned champions of the Ekstraklasa. Jan Kamishik finishing with... He scored 20 goals more than the 2nd place guy. That is ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous. Who wants him? It's going to be someone good, right? It's a couple of teams in Saudi Arabia. It's not even like an amazing team. So then looking at the players, let's take a better look into Jan Kamishik then. So 37 league goals, 44 in all competitions, just the 3 assists. He does not set anyone else up. He just loves to score goals himself. He's an absolute unit, isn't he? 6'5", jumping reach of 17. He can't header though. Imagine if this guy could header. He'd be scoring loads of goals, wouldn't he? I mean, he is scoring loads of goals, but he'd be scoring more goals. Piotr Jasinski on the right-hand side after his 2nd successive season. He's starting to get better. He's slowly getting better, isn't he? He's still wanted. Is he still wanted by the big boys? He's wanted by Bayern and Napoli, so he is still wanted by some of the big boys in Europe. He's getting better. I kind of want to stick him around for another season just to see how much better he does get. He has got 14 goals and 9 assists, which I believe is much better than last season. It's not much better. Okay, it is more goals. He scored 4 more goals than last season, but he's got less assists than last season. Zach in defensive midfield is getting ridiculous. He's getting really, really good. He's still improving. Mentally very good. Technically very good. Physically very good. 7 goals, 4 assists in all competitions. He's wanted by PSG and everyone in Saudi Arabia are after him. Feel like Zach might be leaving sooner rather than later. But this is still not as good as he gets. And he's still not in the Poland squad. Looking at the two new players then, Marcel Andrusko, first up, 19 years old right back, who, I mean, he's done all right. 13 assists, he's got a goal as well in the Extraclasa. He's not amazing. I feel like this one might have been a wasted pick in right back. And the other one is Tomasz Matejczuk, who hasn't had a particularly amazing standout year or anything, but he's improving as a footballer, which is good. Has got 1 assist. He should have scored a goal and should have got nearly 2 assists throughout his entire season, but he's a centre-back. I'm not expecting him to be scoring goals and doing stuff like that. I'm going to stick with Matejczuk for another season because obviously I think there's something good there. The coaches think there's something good there. We're going to stick with Tomasz Matejczuk. We are going to now have a look who's got the most assists. Not a lot. Baniak is there in second. Andrusko's actually top assists. Baniak has got 12 assists in his return to the club. We've got Brozowski, who gets 11 assists and 11 goals. I feel like you've been playing left wing on a lot. You've been playing on left wing a lot. Has Much have been injured or something? I mean, Much is obviously here. He's still at the club. He has missed a bit of football. Okay, and he's been playing in the middle. Which means, I guess, okay, hear me out. It's not a terrible thing that Goralski's too old. It's not a terrible thing that Much is too old, because now these two can kind of rotate. So if Goralski's tired, Much can move into the middle, and then we can have Brozowski move on to the left-hand side and all sorts of things like that. So actually, it's quite good that they're too old to be locked in. The amount of straws I was clutching at there to try and get some form of understanding. Christoph Mucha has scored 12 goals, 7 assists in all competitions, playing, as we know, on the left-hand side and in the middle. So at now 24, he's still a very good footballer. Jasinski, we've seen Goralski, 15 goals, 9 assists. I imagine you've been playing, you have been only playing in the middle because you can't play any other positions by the looks of it. Feel like we missed a trick with Goralski. We probably should have looked at retraining him to be like a right winger as well as an attacking midfielder, so when we stop locking him in, he can actually kind of utilise himself on the right-hand side or whatever, but too little, too late. Anyway, Wolski, who I wasn't expecting to get a lot of football, didn't get much football in the end. 15 starts, 23 additional games off the bench, so he did lose out a little bit. We've got who else has made a fair amount of appearances. Matus has played 16 off the bench, 9 starts, as a striker or an attacking midfielder? Attacking midfielder, okay. Not quite sure why we were doing that, but there we are. Maciej Ginter has played twice. Ginter's played 2 matches and conceded 3. In fact, he's conceded 3 and didn't do very well. I imagine he might have come in for injuries. Surely that's the only thing I can think of there. Because we've got Mizdo, who's played 36, and Salguero's played 8 as well. So maybe Ginter's played a few matches, like I said, just because of injuries. That's fine. You've probably noticed, by the way, that I haven't been kind of mentioning anything to do with facilities for the last few seasons. It's because the board literally don't want to talk about it. Every time I go to the club vision and I go to here, they don't want to talk about facilities. And if they do, it is cut back. Everything else, they're okay with. I keep asking them to build a new stadium. Turns out they don't want me to do that, which kind of makes sense because I think the stadium that we're in is it's quite new. It's 10 years old. Technically, it's 10 years old. So, they're not going to do that, obviously. That is going to do it then for Season 9. We've got one more season to go with this Pogon side. And we are only going to be locking in 5 players once again. We are going to have an additional video, which will be 5 seasons into the future as well, where we can have a look to see what players have done what business and how well they've improved going forward. When you think some of these players like Matejczuk is only 17, I believe, at the moment. By the time we go to that 5 seasons in the future video, he's going to be, 23 years of age. So we are still going to see some young footballers, but hopefully they'll be much, much more improved. And maybe Poland as a national side as well might actually be climbing up the kind of the world rankings, which right now they are definitely not doing. So the final season is here then with our Pogon Youth Academy Challenge. Season 10 is upon us. And I don't really know what our objectives are going to be. Because when it comes to the Extraclasa, we win it quite often. We've only lost it 3 times out of 9. So we've won 2/3 so far. I'm hoping, that's not a word, hoping, there you go, that we are going to win our 7th title out of 10. That would be very good. And the Polish FA Cup is quite a similar story, to be honest. In fact, it's the same story, although we did win it 4 times in a row. The Polish Super Cup is kind of a bit of nothing, really. We win it most times. We've only lost it once when we've been in it, and that was a couple of seasons ago, so if we can win it again, that'll be good. And being completely honest, the Champions League is way too far out of our reach. Most of the time, we barely even qualify for the thing, so I can't see us trying to win anything in the Champions League, so realistically, what we need to do is just have another really good season in Polish football, and make sure we get our final youth intake to be a good one. Not that we really control any of that. That is all down to Patrick Kluivert, who so far has done quite well. Anyway, on the 1st of July, we have released one player. We have released Piotr Zielinski. Not that one. He actually came through our youth intake a while ago, and in fact, I didn't even deem him good enough to be a starred player. And he actually doesn't look too bad, does he? He has played 11 times for us, but he has moved on. I say moved on, he's just left the club. And that is so far all the business that we have done. If we have a look at the finances, we've got £50 million to spend, and we're going to probably spend, I'm going to say £2 million of it. And I don't know what we're going to buy, but I'm going to say £2 million. And obviously, in the final season, we are locking in just 5 players from our youth intakes, but they must be no older than 21 years of age at this current time. I say this current time, maybe the start of September, not quite sure, but we will be locking in 5 players in the final season, and we are definitely going to be losing out on some very big names, but we'll get to that after September once the transfer window closes, which we will do right now. I said we were going to spend £3 million. In fact, we brought in about £3 million. Ernest Kolodziej is the first player to leave on a permanent deal. He's moved over to LKS Lodz. Yes, he is one of those starred players, but unfortunately, and I've said this quite a few times, I believe, Kolodziej is one of those players that he's stuck behind some really good players on that left-hand side, so he was never really going to make it, which is why he's gone on a free transfer as well. Another player to leave on a free transfer is Kasper Smolinski. That's his name. He's been here for a very, very long time. Played a lot of football as well, and I don't think we've really mentioned him. I think he comes off the bench quite a lot in that sort of defence midfield role that we play. He's all right, isn't he? For a player who we just literally did not mention at all for the last 9 seasons, Smolinski, I feel like this might have been a mistake. What definitely was a mistake, but we couldn't really do anything about it, is Radoslav Zak has left the club. He is signed for Al Ettifaq over in Saudi Arabia for £2.9 or £2.6 million even. It's even worse. That was his minimum fee release. That was literally all we could get from him. I kept trying to offer him a new contract, get rid of the minimum fee release, but nope, they wouldn't do it. So he has moved over to Saudi Arabia, and he's now worth £35 to £50 million. We've lost a good one here. And we've lost a good one for £2.6 million. We've also loaned out 2 players as well. One going to Zaglebe, who is this man, who does have a star next to his name. So I think he might get good. He looks actually not too bad at the moment. He is actually playing in the Ekstraklasse. And then Saminski has also gone out on loan. He's dropped down a division to Jagiellonia and already getting a fair amount of game time as well. Speaking of game time, we are currently top of the Ekstraklasse, 7 wins out of 7, and a positive 23 goal difference. We have won the Polish Super Cup once again, beating Rakow 2-2, and then on penalties in the final. I say the final, there's literally no other matches. It's just a one-off game. We beat them on penalties. You can see their Champions League and Polish FA Cup, obviously, every season have not really started at the moment. We do qualify straight into the Champions League, so it is no feat for us to get into the Champions League group stage. We need to really be finishing. I want to finish 9th to 15th. That's kind of like a nice little area. We're just outside of the best teams, but we're also not the worst teams who are just somehow scraping by. Joining the list of players this season who are too old now to be considered part of our starting 11, Jan Kmishik is the first one. He scored 134 goals in 130 league appearances so far, but now he is 22 years of age, so he cannot be selected by us in our 5 locked-in players, which also means we can't really pick a striker, because he is quite clearly our best striker. And as we know, Krzysztof Mucha is too old. In fact, he's definitely too old now at 24, so he can't get locked in on the left-hand side. Mariusz Wolski, similar situation at 23, can't get locked in at centre-back, and in fact, last season where we didn't have him locked in, he only started 12 games, so maybe he's not really good enough. And finally, Piotr Goralski as well. Obviously, we know he is too old from last season, but at 23 years of age, we can't lock in an attacking midfielder, a left winger, and a striker. So what 5 players have we locked in for Season 10? We've locked in a right winger. It is Piotr Jasinski. He is still at the club, still playing. He's played 2 full seasons so far, and he's literally only 17. He will be turning 18 in a month's time, but Jasinski is going to be starting every single game for a 3rd year. Andrusko as well will keep his place in right back, starting for his 2nd successive season. I'm not convinced this is a good idea, but he is getting better, so maybe it's not too bad. They do think he's got 4-star potential ability, so Andrusko, I think he's kind of keeping his place purely because I don't want to lock in centre-backs. I don't want to lock in a left-back, a left winger, attacking midfielder or a striker. We kind of need to lock in a right-back. For his second successive season, Tomas Matashuk has been locked in central defence. 17 years of age last year, played 32 times. Average rating of a 6.73, not too great, but he's already played 7 so far this season and scored 2 goals. He's getting pretty good. He's actually getting very good. Arguably, maybe he should be a defensive midfielder. He might be more suited to that role. But we are going to play him as a centre-back because we have Prem Goron. I'm going to call him Premek because I used to work with a person whose name was Premislaw, which is spelt the same way. I don't know if it's pronounced that at all. And he was called Premek. So we're going to call him Premek Goron. He is a defender and defensive midfielder. And I've decided you will be the defensive midfielder because I feel like the other guy's better as a centre-back. Although I'm not... We'll stick with it. Goron, defensive midfielder. Matajuk, centre-back. There's one more player to talk about. And that is Masiai Ginter. Yeah, we're doing it. We're pulling the trigger. I think I said maybe season 5, 6, 7, one of those seasons that I might lock in a goalkeeper for season 10, and we are doing just that. Masiai Ginter is the man to play in goal for us. I don't think he's too bad. I don't think he's very good either, but we are going for it because I feel like we need to. We just need to do one season with a locked-in goalkeeper who's come through our youth intake, and season 10 is that time. So this is our starting 5, realistically. Ginter in goal, Andrusko, Matajuk, Goron, and Jasinski. Jasinski is injured for potentially 3 weeks, but I kind of had an unwritten rule to myself that if they were injured for a long time, I would not lock them in. I don't consider 3 weeks to be a long time. If it said months, then I would have probably taken him out of the starting 11 and forced myself to play someone else. But Jasinski, he's only out for up to 3 weeks, so that's kind of fine with me. This is what it looks like. And yeah, it's not good reading, but we have left the key places open. So we can play Kamishik up front. We can also play Goralski in attacking midfield. We can play Mucha or Brozazowski. We'll actually play Mucha there. Brozazowski would probably play there. Or maybe Baniak. We've got lots and lots of players. I mean, he's ridiculous. I bought him as a centre-back, by the way. He's an amazing defensive midfielder. If you look at this, that's not a terribly weak side. We've got some weak positions in goal predominantly, but that's still a pretty good side. Very briefly, before we jump forward to the final youth intake of this save, we are, like I said earlier, top of the table with a positive 23 goal difference. We've won 5-0, we've won 5-1, 5-2, and another 5-0. Lots and lots of big scoring results there. The 5-2 against Legia is not ideal because we did concede twice, but we are keeping 3 clean sheets out of 7 with Ginter in goal. It's going to be a long old season, Masiai, but we are here to stay. We're now going to jump forward then to the 1st of April to the final youth intake of Patrick Kluivert and us in this save. See what he can manage to pull off. So the final intake is here, and we've got 5 players that we have starred. In fact, I don't sign most of these players. What I do is I get kind of the assistant manager or whoever to bring in the best ones. They've not brought in many at all. But what they have brought in, I've starred all of them because I think they might actually be quite good. We're going to start then in defensive midfield at Piotr Robakwicz. It's definitely not his name, is it? But he looks quite good mentally. So we're really going on there. Mentally, he's got some very good numbers. Defensively, when it comes to technical ability, first touch and technique is good. Everything else, not so much. Physically as well, not really much to sing home about. Is sing home about a term or a phrase? If it isn't, it is now. We also have in defence Daniel Nowak, who is a 5'10", 16-year-old centre-back and maybe defensive midfielder. He's kind of got a bit of everything, but also nothing at all. So, what I mean, that just sounds weird, doesn't it? What I mean by that, physically, he's pretty average. Mentally, he's pretty average. Technically, he's pretty average. He just needs to work on everything, and he could turn into a half-decent player. Moving further up the field then, and also into the top talents, we have Nathan Kaplutz, which is, again, probably not how it's pronounced at all. 15-year-old striker, maybe central midfielder. Definitely not a central midfielder with 7 passing, but then again, he's only got 11 finishing as well. I'm not really convinced on this one. Technically, he's arguably not terrible. When you look at the shape as well, technical and attacking is quite good. Also, physically, he's quite quick with his 11 acceleration. I say quite quick. 11 acceleration isn't quick, is it? He just looks quick compared to everything else. I'm not quite sure if this guy's any good. 2 players who I do think will be pretty good. Marcin Tlozek might be his name. He is a central midfielder, attacker midfielder, but as you can see there, he's also going to become a defensive midfielder sooner rather than later as well, which might not be the best position for him. I think he could be going places for 2 reasons. Number one, he actually doesn't look too bad. Technically, he's got some nice high numbers. 13 finishing, 15 first touch, 15 passing, 13 technique. All very good numbers. Specifically for an ungaunch as well is also quite nice. Mentally, also not particularly awful. The one thing that worries me is the 3 determination. But the other thing that says that he might be pretty good is his value is potentially £2.8 million, and he's only just turned 15. I say only just, he's actually going to turn 16 in a month and a half's time. But anyway, Marcin Ślozek, I think, will be a pretty good player. And somebody who I think will also be a pretty good player, although not as much when it comes to the value, is Filip Piscori. Go away, that thing. Get rid of it. Filip Piscori, who is a central midfielder, attacking midfielder. Aerially, he is absolutely horrendous, but everything else actually looks pretty good. Technically, good numbers there. Passing and technique, 15 and 13. Mentally, nice high numbers across the board. That 13 determination is massive compared to the 3 determination that the other guy had. And then, yeah, physically as well, not awful either. He's only 5'7", but then again, he's also only 15 years of age, so he's obviously got a bit of time to grow. I think players grow in Football Manager. I should know this after playing it for about 20-odd years. So that is our intake for our final season. I don't think Patrick Kluivert has done particularly badly. I don't think he's done amazing either. These two are the two to look out for, Ślozek and Piscori. Obviously, we are going to be finishing the simulation, technically, after Season 10, but we will be jumping forward into the future to see how well things have gone. Maybe we'll do 5 years, maybe 10 years, I'm not quite sure yet. Anyway, how are things going for our Pogon side in all the competitions then? In the Polish FA Cup, we have made it all the way so far to the semi-final, where we'll be playing against Zagreb, a team that I believe we should be able to beat comfortably. In the Champions League, we miss out by 1 point. 3 wins, a 7-2 against Sevilla, a 2-1 against Ajax, a 5-1 against Young Boys, but then 5 defeats. Big defeats as well against Bayern and Galatasaray, 2-1 against Chelsea, 3-1 against Monaco, and a 4-1 against PSV. So it does mean we do not make it through to the knockout rounds, and because it's the new format, we don't even drop down into like the Europa League or anything like that either. So yeah, Europe, it's not been fun, has it? Europe's not been fun for us. But I tell you what has been fun, our season so far. We have already qualified for the Conference League, the Europa Conference League that is, because we have won 23, drawn 3, and lost 0 all season. Kamishik has 29 goals in 26 league appearances. When you look at some of the scorelines there, we beat Zagreb 10-2. 10-2, the other Zagreb, Sosnowiec might be their name, not the KGHM Zagreb, the team that will be playing in the FA Cup semi-final, but we've scored 10 goals. Can we actually kind of dive in a bit deeper? We've scored 96. 10 against Wisla Plock, 10 against Zagreb as well, 9 against Lodz, Cracovia, Radomiak, 8 against Legia. We are scoring a lot of goals. The draws as well, 0-0s and a 1-1. And by the way, this is with playing Ginter in goal. Maciej Ginter is our locked-in goalkeeper. He's getting better. He's still not going to be amazing. I don't think he's ever going to be like a world-class goalkeeper, but the fact that he's kept 11 clean sheets, he might have been part of the problem why we didn't go well in Europe, but I think he's also contributing quite massively to why we're doing quite well in the Ekstraklasa. Also, Goron's ridiculous, right? He's absolutely ridiculous. He was not this good at the start of the season. He's amazing. Oh, and Matajuk's getting good as well. I'm liking some of these players that we've got in our starting 11. This is good reading. And Jasinski as well. He's really good. He's getting quicker. Why are you getting faster? Stop it. Learn to, I don't know, cross the ball. Anyway, we have been top of the league since the first kick of a ball, apparently, so it looks like we should be crowned champions of the Ekstraklasa once again. We're going to jump forward to the end of the season just to see how well things have gone for our Pogon side. And that will end our Youth Academy Challenge, at least for the 10 seasons we'll be in charge. So over the next 2 months, between April and now June, we have won every single game, and we have not drawn or lost any points. 31 wins out of 34, another, oh my word. We scored 17 goals against Zagreb Sosnowiec, and they still didn't get relegated. That's a stupid amount of goals in 2 games. We are also champions of the Polish FA Cup, and as we know, we got knocked out of the Champions League, and we did win the Polish Super Cup. So we've won the treble once again. I believe this might be the, I say like the 5th or 6th time, but normally we win the Super Cup, and then we don't win the league, because we were winning the league and then losing the league the next season. So maybe this isn't like the 3rd, like the 5th or 6th time we've won the treble. This might be like the 2nd or 3rd. So looking at the players then that we locked in, starting off in goal, Maciej Ginter, now 20 years of age. He is okay. He's not amazing. He's capped at under 20s level. He's getting better. He's kept 15 clean sheets. which is a lot of clean sheets, but I do wonder how much of that is actually down to the defence in front of him rather than him actually needing to do things. So what is SVT? Saves tipped. He's done 14 saves. Saves parried, he's done 20. And saves held, he's done 33. He's had to do what? I mean, I can't do the maths here in my head, but that's not a lot of saves. What's that? 50, 67 saves. He's done 67 saves in 34 matches. That's a save every other game. Or 2 saves a game even. That makes more sense. Into right back, Andrusko has got a Poland under-21 cap. I don't know whether he had that before. He's done very well. 30 assists. That's a lot of assists. 23 of them coming in the league. I don't think he's very good. I just... Mentally, physically, yes, I think he's there. He's certainly a good player that way. But technically, he's got nothing to offer. He's got 12 tackling. He's got 10 crossing. And he's still picking up 30 assists a season. In fact, last season he got 7. This season he got 23 in the league. So, massive improvement. Shuffling a crossover into central defence, Tomasz Matysiuk, now 18 years of age, is ridiculous, isn't he? Genuinely, if I was to do a season 11, I'd move him up to defence midfield because I think that's probably more his position, and maybe swap him and Goron over because I feel like Goron might be a better centre-back. Because when you look at Goron, he doesn't really have any technical ability, which I'm looking at this is probably going to be things like passing and such. I think he's a better centre-back. He is only 17 years of age, played 43 times, 12 goals and 6 assists for a 17-year-old in the Polish Ekstraklasa, but also 2 goals in the Champions League as well. Goron's done all right in his debut season. And finally, Piotr Jasinski on the right-hand side, now 18. I mean, he's arguably one of the elder statesmen of the locked-in players in our squad because he's 18, nearly soon to be-ish, maybe 19. He's very fast. He's a very fast young man, isn't he? Has he, so can we have a look? His acceleration, how do we even see this? Attributes. His acceleration in the space of 3 years has gone from 16 to 18. His pace, what's his pace gone from? His pace has gone from 14 to 16. So he's gone up 2 across everything. Can we just see all time? There we go. Oh, we can see this. I always forget this is a thing. Mentally, he's gone up some big numbers. 4 for decisions, 3 for vision, 3 for off the ball as well. Big numbers going up there. He's gone up 3 for dribbling. He's gone up 3 for heading, which means nothing because it's still only 5. 3 for technique as well. This is interesting. I should show this more. Which is hilarious because obviously this is probably the last time that we're actually going to see this. But Tomasz Matysiuk, we'll take a very quick look at him. Everything, absolutely everything is going up. Physically, lots of numbers, 2s, 3s and 4s going up. Mentally as well. 3s and 4s all over the place. A few 1s in there as well and a nothing in your determination. Also, your attributes, they all seem to be on the up. Not necessarily going up in number, but certainly going up anyway in general. What's this one? Dribbling. Dribbling's gone from 3 to a 7. Okay, I mean, it looks a lot bigger than what everything else does. So because we scored 133 goals in the Ekstraklasa, we've got a lot of players to talk about when it comes to goals and assists. Brozowski has got 10 goals and 18 assists in all competitions. Goron, we've mentioned, he has 12 goals and 6 assists in all competitions. Krzysztof Mucha obviously did get a lot of game time, 18 goals, 10 assists. Góralski playing just behind Kmishik up front, 19 goals and 15 assists. Jasinski scoring 28 goals and getting 18 assists. And he's not the top scorer, obviously. That will be Jan Kmishik with 48 goals and 9 assists. 38 in 32 league games. That's just ridiculous. And the fact that he got 9 assists as well was just it's quite funny in a way because it's like, we didn't need him to do that. He scored enough goals to be able to win the league for us. But the fact that he's gone, you know what, I'll set some people up as well. Good lad, Jan. Couple of players as well to mention when it comes to assists that we haven't just had a look at. Grzegorz Baniak, one of them, obviously returned to the club from a little brief spell over in Italy, in Naples. 15 assists in all competitions. That's pretty good. And Andrusko is our top assister with 30 in all competitions, which is ridiculous. When you think this is how many players, so Mucha, Baniak, Góralski, Brozowski, Jasinski and Andrusko all getting double figures for assists, for goals, it's even more ridiculous, isn't it? As I've said, Brozowski, Goron, Mucha, Góralski, Jasinski and Kmishik, but then we've also got loads of other players getting multiple goals as well. I mean, this guy, Matus, has scored 6 goals, which doesn't sound like a lot, which isn't really, but he barely played. He's barely kicked a ball. Ahmed Laraki got some game time. I brought him in for depth, and he's got 6 goals and 5 assists. Fair play, lad. Player of the season, so this is sorting by average rating for the season, will be Jan Kmishik with a ridiculously high 7.68, 7.64 as well for, who was that? Goralski just underneath. So 2 players, outstanding performances for the season. The fact that we've managed to do this over the course of 10 years, we have turned Pogon from a kind of a mid-table side. They did get near the top a few seasons ago in real life, but then we've just turned them into penultimate or penultimate? Permanent? I don't know. We've turned them into champions consistently. I think this is the 3rd season in a row that we are crowned champions of the Ekstraklasa. When we look at the legends, Kamishik is there as a legend for a player. I am there as a manager. Who else we've got? Goralski, Jasinski, Valkvist is also on that list. Anyone else? Gregos Baniak and Christoph Mucha make it there in the favoured personnel. Leo Borges as well, obviously a player who's with us, and Vahan at the start of the season, save even. We've got this guy as well, I can never say his name, a player that we brought into the club. Is Winter there? Because technically he doesn't count as ours, so he's not going to be starred. I don't think he is, which is kind of annoying because he's been a very good player as well. But we've turned Pogon from a mid-table to top half side in Polish football to probably the best team in Polish football. Realistically, if we were to do this over a longer period, 20, 25 seasons, our objective from this point would be to try and get further and further into the Champions League and eventually try and win that. But obviously, we're not going to do that. We have got one more video to do, though, in this Youth Academy Challenge save, which will be in the future, where we will take a look at some of these players just to see how well they have developed. Basically, anyone who has a star next to their name, we will take a look at. Some of them will be garbage.